All right, everyone. Welcome to the 7th episode of the No Limits podcast. I'm literally pumped with energy to have Gerry on. Man, I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Same, bro.
I probably would have done an introduction video explaining Gerry a bit more, but I'm going to touch on why I am so inspired by this person here and why you guys should stick around and listen to the next hour and a half, 2 hours. You've given me no limits on the time frame, which is good.
Do whatever you want.
Stays true to the name. So Gerry is the owner of Playside Studios, 50 staff. They're Australia's largest app and games company. They've worked with some like insane names. I was going through the website. I'm like, oh my God. It was like Warner Bros, Disney, Universal, Pixar, Nickelodeon. I used to watch Nickelodeon back in the day. I used to love that. You guys have worked with them. You would know him for some massive apps that they've done. Keep It Cleaner app, which is huge. Bloom app, which is huge. If you guys remember the movie Cars, they did an app for them. Dumb Ways to Die, you did the Batman vs Superman app, which is insane. And most importantly, he's just an entrepreneur, came from nothing and built his way up to where he is right now. And for the next, like I said, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long this goes for, I'm going to be trying to figure out in detail how you went from where you were to where you are right now. So, man, thank you for coming on, bro.
It's good to finally be here, bro.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
I'm happy we've finally done it. So, just like very similar to Oscar's podcast, I really want to take it back, man.
Yep.
I want to take it back. I want to know the story.
Okay.
I'm going to be asking you questions. We're going to get into detail. So take me, don't hesitate to go really early on, but take me back to the beginning and let's start to work our way up to where you are right now.
So beginning of Playside or beginning of Gerry Sakkas?
Nah.
Wow.
Beginning,
okay.
man. Beginning of Playside. No, I want before. I want what led you to get to, even though it's like first couple stepping stone to get into, because you didn't get into Playside right away. You worked for a year, which we're going to get into, but yeah, take me, man.
Look, I don't think I've even spoken publicly about my whole childhood and all that sort of stuff. So, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, listen, the fact that you started...
It's not all sunshine and rainbows, you know what I'm saying?
The fact that you've started that way has got me excited.
Okay, good.
The whole energy of this podcast has been from, even like previous, has been talk about things that hasn't been spoken about before. So take me through it, man.
All right. So I grew up in a family of four. My mum, my dad, me and my little sister. So she's 6 years younger than me. We lived in, my mum still lives there in Hyatt, so sort of Sandringham area. I grew up in, I guess I wouldn't say a wealthy family at all. The opposite of that, if it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to say poor, because we had a house, we had a roof over our shoulders and that was good. And, my dad worked at Safeway, my mum worked at the chemist, that's just normal jobs. And, I think for me, life at home was pretty good. I never thought about money or anything like that at that, very young age. It was never something that you think about. You just think that your life is your life and that's it. And you think everyone else is the same.
Yep.
And I think for me, the hardest thing was actually probably school. I didn't like school at all. I got bullied heaps. Like I was like really like primary school, high school, everything.
Why?
I don't know. I think I just didn't fit in.
Were you like overweight when you were young?
No, I was fucking this tall as well. So I don't know how I was getting bullied by people half my size. But that just shows that like it doesn't matter really when it comes to that sort of topic. It doesn't matter who you are, how big you are, anything. Heaps, man. Like both schools, primary school, high school. I was in a very, I guess maybe I was probably the only WOG in primary school.
Okay,
that's probably one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
High school was a bit different. There was just a lot of sort of gangsters around, I guess, or wannabe gangsters, and I just wasn't into that sort of shit. You know what I mean? Like I was very just came from a good family, had good morals, and I just wanted to sort of be a good kid. Never did drugs, never did anything, and still to this day haven't. And I think that was the complete opposite of the vibe at Cheltenham was pretty gangster, man. It was like a prison. So man, I'd literally rock up to school. Shout out to Cheltenham, man. Go to school, literally get probably bashed on a daily. Like,
wait,
it was bad.
Okay. I didn't know it was that kind
no,
of
it was
bullying.
bad.
I thought it was just like people making fun of you. You were getting bashed.
This isn't 2019. This was, this is 2000 and what, 2000 really.
Yeah.
It was different back then,
If they
man.
did it in 2019, they get smoked.
They do it these days. If you bash someone these days, you probably get expelled from school straight away.
True. Okay.
Back then, man, it was a daily thing that used to occur, and it was just, it was dog eat dog. And I was a black belt in Taekwondo. I had everything, and you just let it happen. There's nothing you can do about it because there's 20 of them. You know what I mean? So school was pretty bad, man. And then it got to like year 10, got a bit bigger, got even more taller. I was like 6'4" in year 10. Like I was massive.
Wow.
And at that point I was just kind of like, you know, no one would really step to me because, you know, I guess I was just probably a lot of the people that were like that dropped out in year 10. A lot of them were gone by like year 10. So year 11 and 12 was more just about studying and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And it was a bit easier. But there were some dark years, man. Like, and you know, it all sounds pretty bad. It's a bad way to start the podcast, but really without that, I wouldn't be where I am. You know, the whole thing, man, everything. Like my parents got divorced when I was in year 10. My mum has had muscular dystrophy since my sister was pretty much born. So she can like hardly walk. She can't pick things up very well. She's still, you know, the best woman in the world and she's so happy and never lets that get her down. But that's been my life. So, you know, my dad left in year 10. My mum couldn't really fend for herself. So I suddenly had to become the man of the family. I'm going to school every day getting bashed. My sister's in year 7 or whatever it was. So it was pretty full on, man. And that was my life for like, you know, 4 years while I was at high school, you know, from year 10 till uni, you know, like, it was pretty full on, and it made me have to grow up way quicker than anyone else did. And I think that is, you know, it helped me get to a leadership position from what happened next way quicker because I think I was very mature, not from a business sense, just from a person sense at that point. And yeah. And that's the thing that you look back and would I have changed any of it? No, because that's why we're here now, I guess. So
what was like what kind of thoughts would you have during that time?
It was, look, I've never been, I've been, I guess, privileged enough to never had any suicidal thoughts or anything like that. You know, was I very anxious and stuff going to school? Yeah. And I think there was days where I was just like pretending to be sick, not to go to school. And yeah, I mean, looking back on it, it's pretty full on. You don't think like that at the time. I guess you just think you're another kid getting bullied at school and you don't like it. You know, layer on top of that, the fact that I wasn't doing well in any of my classes. Then again, like who really could be when they were thinking about all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So when you start to think about it, it's pretty full on. You know, I was very good at the classes where I felt the teachers actually respected me and cared about who I was. So I was really good at English, literature, and media and art. Like they were my really good things. I was actually pretty good at drama as well. But once again, they were the classes where the type of people in those classes and like the kids in those classes were much, you know, that was very different. You know, you're not going to get all the gangsters doing drama. You're not going to get them doing art. So it was different types of classes and they were the ones I sort of liked the most because I guess the mood was a bit different. But yeah, it was stressful. But as a kid, you don't really understand stress, I don't think. I don't think you really see it as stress. You just see it as you're scared or you know what I mean? Like it's fight or flight type stuff. And yeah, that was my life growing up, I guess, until I got to uni and then it was just 1,000 times better. And yeah.
So you got to uni, right? Yeah. Now, just before uni, I just want to know, like during that time where you were like what was going on with your mum was going on, the divorce, with your parents, you're getting bullied and beat up at school, was there a point where you're just like, I need to become successful? Like, was it out of desperation and you're like, I'm going to show everyone one day? Like, did you ever have that or not really?
No, not really, because the guys doing the bullying, I don't really need to show them anything. Like they've become nothing. So, and I always knew they would. I always knew that no matter what I did, even if I was, you know, working a retail job, I'd still be better than what they were doing. So I knew that type of person was never going to be who I was anyway. So it wasn't really a competition thing. I think for the teachers, that's a different aspect. For the teachers, I was like, fuck these guys. Like they can't see what I'm going to be and they can't even imagine what I was going to be. Like I went to not the counselor, the person who chooses what job you're going to have. Remember they got that role?
The career path.
Yeah, no
like
worries. This guy's literally, that's his job once a year to tell everyone what their career is and that's his career. So that career pathway guy's like, oh, you'll be a primary school teacher. Where did this come from? And then now my mum's heard it and now mum's like, you're going to be a primary school teacher. I'm like, fuck, what happened here, man? So that was actually what I was going to do when I left. I was actually going to go and do primary school teaching. But my dad said, look, you should go and do this game design course. It's just opening up at RMIT. Your year will be the first year. I went, all right. So I went and did this interview. And I went into the interview and I just put all my folios on the desk of all my drawings and all this sort of stuff. And they looked at it and they literally just like closed the folio and they put it on the desk and they're like, look, we're not allowed to say this, but you're in. So they're like, put us at the top of the list and I don't care what you get on your exam, you're in. So when I heard that, I'm like, mad. I'm not studying for exams. I'm not doing anything, because they were literally like, we want you in this course, because they kind of needed talent at that point. It was their first year. They had to prove that.
What did you show them?
It was just my drawings. I don't even know just like characters and monsters and all that sort of shit. I used to just sit at the back of the class drawing. That was it.
So you always had an artistic side?
Yeah, definitely. Like, that's all I could really do. Like, the same with English and literature. I think they're very artsy. Like, literature was my favorite. Like, I love that so much more than English, because you're reading about poems and all that sort of stuff. But literally at the back of every class, man, I'm just drawing, because I'm just like trying to zone out of this world that I'm in. Like, everything going on, all the stuff happening, I'm just sitting there drawing whatever. And coming up with games and all this sort of stuff. So when I put those folios, there was like probably 6 folios, and they were like this big each one, full. I don't even know where they are now. I've probably thrown them all out. But they were just like, you're in, like, go and do your exams, but whatever you get, put us at the top and we promise you we'll lock you in. So I was just rocking up to these exams, doing whatever. I was like, my mum's like, you need to study. I'm like, no, don't worry about the studying. But then, yeah, I did it, and they were right, and I got it straight away. So went straight into uni after that. And it was the first time they'd ever done any form of games course, and it was rubbish, because they didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And looking back on it now, as someone who makes games, it was actually terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So now we've established the whole artistic side, and you get to uni, and what happens? How long do you stay there? What was that experience like?
I got like uni. I killed. I got like HDs in almost everything. I was pretty much top of the class. I really liked the course, but there were like, it was the first time they were doing it. So they were making game designers study like art history and coding and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, that's not what designers need to know. And so they were sort of just spitballing what the course was. We were almost like hamsters. They were just putting us through year 1, year 2, year 3, but we were the first ones every time doing it. So they were just changing the course as we were doing it.
Yeah.
So every year after us that came, and the year after that just got so much better.
Yeah.
But our year was like, it was rubbish. But through that, I started to sort of get a bit of drive for the games industry and really sort of getting into that. But, it was, I think when I left, I still wanted to be an artist, and I wasn't the best artist. I still at this point had no idea that I was going to run a company. At this point, had no idea. And remember, this is 2008 when we graduated, around there, 2007.
Yeah.
So back then, man, it was different. You couldn't start a company like you can now. You couldn't there was no e-commerce. There was nothing like that. It was all very early. So there was I wasn't even thinking about that yet. It was way too early. I just thought I was going to get a job for somebody, and that was it.
So, in like the...
In the games industry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, so then you finish your degree, and then what comes next?
So while I was on the degree, I was networking heaps. So I was going to all these events and doing like free, like volunteering, like handing out badges and all this sort of shit. And I met a few of the CEOs of some of the other games companies that were around at that time. And I got a interview at a place called Chrome, which was the old Atari Melbourne house. They had like 200 staff. It was pretty big. And so I applied there as a tester, and I actually was successful. So I got into Chrome, and they literally, we were in a room like probably, I don't know, like 5 times the size of where we are now. And it was just testers. It was like 7 of us. And
what's a tester?
A tester is someone who just tests the product. And so all day long, all they're doing is playing games. And it's nowhere near as fun as it sounds, because you're playing the same game.
My face.
No. Like if you could play Fortnite or something like that, no. I was playing Star Wars Force Unleashed, which was still a really good game. But when you're playing that shit every day for a year, it's like literally all you had to do every day was just beat the game, and test all this stuff. And they'd give you a new build, and you'd do that again. It's just the coders are making changes, and then you have to test that the changes work throughout the whole game.
That sounds fun, though.
No, trust me. It's like torture. Okay. It's all right when you've got multiple games. Like our testers are working on like 10 products or 12 or more. So all day they're doing different shit. That's cool. When you're doing the same thing all day, it's like, oh my God. So I was doing that, and I was only there for like, I think 6 months. And I just got like wind of the fact that next door were these like dudes starting up a new EA agency. So like EA was in America. They had no interest of coming to Australia. And I heard all this stuff about like there was these 4 guys next door that were doing coding for EA and all this stuff. I'm like, it's weird. And it just happened that my uncle at the time, his office was on the floor that EA was in. There's only like 4 guys in an office. Like it was tiny. It wasn't a studio yet. So I went up to see my uncle, and I was just kind of like looking around, whatever. And I found the office, and I just knocked on the door, and they're like, oh, hi, like, can we help you? And I'm like, yeah, look, I work next door as a tester. I was just wondering if you guys need a tester. And they're like, oh, look, it's probably too early. We're just a bunch of coders at the moment, and we don't need testers, but, leave your card or whatever. I'm like, oh, I left my card. And like 2 weeks later, they're like, yeah, we need a tester. I'm like, mad. So look, when you're that age, you see these like big companies as like, that's it. Like I've made it. realistically, I was going from 32 grand at one company a year to 40 grand at the other one, you know? So it's like, it's not, you haven't made shit yet. But for me, that was like mad. Like now I'm working at EA, it's going to be massive and all this sort of stuff. And look, EA was heaps of fun. I started as, once again, a tester.
How old were you?
I was, at this point.
When you started at EA?
EA, I would have been, I got in straight out of uni. So 2007, I would have been 21. No, I don't know what age I would have been. I would have been about 21 when I got to EA because it was the same year, like the year after I got out of uni. So I was
So you
18
did the 6
first
months?
year, 19, 20. Yeah, 21. I would have turned 21 the start of that year.
Yeah.
So I did 6 months there, went straight to EA, started working there once again as a tester. It was a bit more boring because I didn't have like all these people around me. It was just me and this other coder in a room and it was pretty quiet and whatever, but it was good and I was like working hard because I really wanted it. Then we started like expanding. Suddenly, like it was new people every day, all this sort of stuff. Like I was there when there was like 4 people, 1 room. And then we started expanding. There was talks that we might be doing our own game, which was never the reason for the studio. We were working on like helping with the American studio produce games like Dead Space and Godfather and all these mad games. But we were just helping them. And so we were doing like the PC version of their PlayStation games. And then there was talk like, oh, okay, we're going to be making our own product. And then suddenly we started scaling and I was like, I want part of this. So I wanted to be a designer on that team, started floating that idea around the studio. And what I used to do really well back in those days is I would be able to talk to people that were like 5 levels higher than my current people I was with. Like they'd come down from America for a day and I'd just like latch onto them and be like, hey man, like I'm Gerry, like this is what I'm doing. I really want to do this. And they really liked me. And at one point, like the biggest head of like America came down and he was going to be the executive producer of this new game. And he came down and I think I set up everyone at like, what was Miss Collins called before Miss Collins? Silk Road.
Don't know.
It's called Silk Road.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, I'm a boss, man. I'm going to get all these EA guys into Silk Road. And I got like 20 nerds into this like little like...
into the club.
Yeah, into the club, bro. And at the front, they're like, oh, dude, like we can't let these guys... I'm like, you let them in, man. Like just let them in. And so we got in there. It was a mad night. And at that night, like everyone was like this is so much fun. And the American guy comes up and he's like, so what do you do exactly? I'm like, well... I'm a tester. I'm kind of like I'm a tester. I'm kind of like a junior designer as well, starting to do this and that. And he literally looked at me like we were speaking for a while. And after that, he like stopped and he's like, you're going to be a producer in like 2 years. I'm like, okay. I was like, at that point, I hadn't even thought of that. Like I was just like, I'm a good game designer. That's it, you know? And a producer is someone who is way higher up at the company. They're running things or whatever. He's like, when I was your age, I was doing exactly what you're doing. I was tester, and now I'm executive producer at EA. And he's like, that's like right under CEO level, basically. And he's like, you're going to do exactly the same thing. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Thanks, bro.
And I think that was the moment. And that was like, I tell him this as well. I still text him every now and then. His name's Scott Amos. He made Simpsons. He did the Tomb Raider franchise, the last one that came out, the good one, the Lara Croft one. And he's working on the new Avengers game. So he's high up. And I tell him all the time, like, dude, like that moment was the moment where I was like, hold on, I can actually be way more than this. So I stayed at EA. We started making this unbelievable game. It was heaps of fun. The game was, I can't talk about it because it was never announced. But I know it's so annoying. But if you go online, people have leaked it. So you just go online, type in like EA Melbourne Studio and it'll come up what we were doing. Super graphic, like violent, multiplayer game. It was sick. We got like 98% done. The studio in America changed and they just shut the whole game down for no reason. And we were just like, what the hell? And by that point, I'd actually worked my way up to lead designer. So I'd gone from QA to lead QA to junior designer to mid designer to lead designer in like 4 years.
Can I just ask, as you're moving up, are you also, these are like formal promotions. So you're making more money
but
as well.
I was such a junior that by the end of it, I was on like 60 grand.
Okay.
So it's still amazing at that age, but I was just like, I was doing so much more than that. Like I was running the project. I was there, man. I was there at 8 a.m., leaving at 8 p.m. Everyone else was like getting there at 9 and leaving at 5. Like the Americans were coming down and it was like 5 o'clock and they're like, where's everyone gone? I'm like, this is Australia, dude. It's very different here. Like 5 o'clock comes, people got like, I was the only one that was my age. Everyone else was like 40 plus.
Do you reckon they have more of a hustle culture?
Oh, America is fucked. Like the bosses would literally be shocked that anyone had left on time. They're like, what? It was like, and this is like 6 o'clock maybe. They'll be like, where has everyone gone? I'm like, it's home time. And I was always there because I was always working harder and working longer hours and I had just too much on my plate to go home. But that's not really the culture here. The culture here is go to work and then like go home and have a good life. And that's a good culture. In America, it's not that. Like in America, if you're not done, you're staying there till midnight and then you come back again the next day at 9 a.m. and staying till midnight. It's really full on there. And the games industry especially have a lot of issues there because they promise things that they can't deliver on time and then the staff have to pay for it. So yeah, it's pretty full on. But Australia's a bit different and that's what the Americans didn't get. And I think when they started seeing that our cultures were a bit too different, that's when they were like, man, screw the studio. We'll do it, just get rid of it.
Okay.
So.
All right. So at what point did they make, but this was 5 years later?
4, I think.
4 years. Yeah. And then you made your way to
lead designer.
To lead designer.
Which doesn't happen. It just happened because we were in such a small like studio and I just made my way up there, so.
And then they call it quits.
Yeah.
And then.
Overnight.
Literally overnight. So then like everything stops like then or do they keep you around?
No, so let's actually rewind. So 2 weeks before that, Jobs died. So look up whenever Steve Jobs died and that was pretty much when the studio went down. And Jobs was like my everything. He was literally like everything. So I sat down at my desk and they put on the Stanford speech. I don't know if you've seen the speech he gave for Stanford. If you haven't watched that speech,
clips of it,
look it up. It will literally change your life. Like what he talks about in that, it's like 15 minutes. It's life changing. The way he talks in it. And I sat down at my desk and I was just sort of by myself. My mate TJ, who's now at Playside, was to the left. I'm watching this thing and I actually started crying at my desk. I'm like, it was just like everything he was saying was everything I was feeling. It was like I wasn't happy where I was. I felt like I was already had done too much and no one was respecting it and all this sort of stuff. And I'm just sitting there and he was literally like, if you get up in the morning and you say in the mirror, am I happy to go to work today or am I happy in general today? And the answer is no too many times in a row, then you just quit it straight away and you go and do something else. And that's where I was at. And I was just like, I literally stood up and I looked at TJ. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm out. And he's like, whoa. He's like, what do you mean you're out? I'm like, I'm done, man. Like, I think I actually know what I want to do now and I want to go and do this myself. And he was like, dude, like, you've got no money. He's like, oh, I'm going to stay here. So like, what are you going to do? Like, where are you going to go and do this? Like the games industry at that time was all about console. Mobile was only very sort of in its infancy. And I was just like, I don't know, man. He's like, listen, just give it a few more weeks. Think about it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. And then literally 2 weeks later, studio closes down. We all get some form of payout. It was like 15 grand or 20 grand. But back then, man, you can make that shit last for a year, right? Yeah. So I was like, all right, we're ready to go now. And so they offered me a job in America straight away. They're like, let's get you to the San Fran office and work out of there. I'm like, nah, no chance. So I just didn't want to move. I had my mum here. Like, it's not as easy for me.
Yeah.
Like if I could have, man, if I was by myself, single, mum, dad were together, mum was fine, straight over there, like whatever. And I'd come back whenever because that would have probably boosted my career hugely, but I also wouldn't be where I am today if I did it. So true. Everything happens for a reason. Well, I don't actually believe that, but this happened for a reason. So that happened.
Noted as a topic to speak about later.
So that happened and I left and I was like, all right, cool. This was in like September. And I was like, what am I going to do now, man? So I rang up my best mate, Aaron. His brother-in-law at the time, Mark, was an investment banker. And I also knew that Aaron invested in a few things. And I was like, look, man, do you reckon I can go speak to Mark and see if he has anyone that would invest in a mobile studio? And he's like, oh, what are you talking about? And I sort of showed him this idea. And Aaron's like, yeah, go talk to Mark and see what it is. Little did I know at this point that both of them were interested, but they were just like sort of playing me along, being like, all right, cool, let's see what he's got to say first. And I went and sat with Mark and I'm like, look, this is what I'm thinking. Like, go and find me investors and I promise you I'll give you a percentage of it as well. Like, just go and find me someone to raise money. And he was like, oh, look, you're looking for a bit much. How about you go and get it down a little bit more and then we can get less investment and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So at the point I was just kind of like, well, why? And then I realized because the boys wanted to invest. They were interested in just doing it, us three. That was it. And I was like, all right, sweet. So I got everything down. This was like my first business thing. Like, all right, I don't need this many staff. Like I was projecting EA numbers of staff and all this sort of crap. You don't need that at the beginning. Just,
I really want to focus on this whole raising money, right? Yeah. Because that's something that a lot of people are thinking about doing. Yeah. And I'm also really curious about this too, because I've tried to raise money before, but when you are raising money for a business like this, what are you raising money for? Are you raising money to be able to hire out of places? Are you taking that into consideration, paying staff wages, marketing? Like what's going into your thought process when it comes to raising money, or like what should you account for?
I think that's what you should be accounting for. I think the problem is now is that everyone's raising money just for the sake of raising money, and it's just become ridiculous. Like the amount of people that have come to me asking for money for things, or it's just they're raising for the sake of putting a valuation on their company. And it's like, you don't need that. Just start, get as little money as possible and run it as lean as possible for the first couple of years. Once you start showing some projections and you can be like, all right, cool, this is actually what we're going to do if we had more money, more staff, then raise actual money if you need to. Otherwise, you're already making money at that point. I just think everyone now, man, the industry is screwed because of places like Uber and bloody Tesla and all this shit that no one's making money and they're all worth billions of dollars. So everyone's raising that same sort of money and it's just destroying the whole tech industry. And that's something that we'll never do. We've never raised money ever since that day. But if we are to raise money, it's for a reason. It's for people, it's for marketing, it's for X, and you're showing what that's going to do when you inject that money. These days, everyone's like, oh, I've got this app idea. Give me 300 grand. I'm going to build it with these random developers that are going to outsource it. And then that 300 grand is going to go to marketing. So, okay, where's the projection? How much is your user acquisition? Like, what does each user come back with? What's their lifetime value? No one knows any of that shit. They just think that they're going to be the next big thing. And it's the complete opposite of how the world really works. So when we raised money in the beginning, man, it was nothing. It was like under 200 grand. We raised it. It was enough to pay for the 3 staff, not my wage. My wage was my percentage, I guess. And for a year I worked without salary. They worked. Our first office was like 12 grand a year, like rent. It was mad. It was like this full ghetto joint. Yeah. It was sick. And that was it, man. We made it work. We hustled. And that was the raising process for me was a bit easier because I had already proven that I can do this. Like I ran a team. I had already been a lead designer. I know how to make games. So doing a mobile game was much easier than doing console at that point. So I was able to convince people that I actually had a pedigree in what I was doing. Once again, the problem now is that everyone wants to be the next, entrepreneur and they don't have any skills. They're not learning on the job because they haven't done it yet. They're just asking for money. And they've done nothing in the past to prove that they can do that role. And that was the difference that I had. That's why the boys wanted to invest in me before I could go to other investors, which I still think it would have been fine. I think that I already had shown what I could do. So it was easy at that point.
So then, okay, so that was like the first time that the Playside, because that's when Playside came to life, right?
Yep.
And you raised all this money, and then what happens after that?
So we moved.
How'd you feel when you got ES and like money hit the account?
It's weird, man. I don't know.
Because you would have had like a couple $100 grand in an account or something, like at least 6 figures somewhere.
Like it would have been somewhere. I never saw the accounts or anything. It was always like Aaron and Mark are very involved in the business.
Yeah.
Aaron, you look after the bank accounts. Just tell me when shit's running out. Like, you know what I mean? Back then.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was. Like I was just working away and trying to live the dream and make this game. There was no point, even to this day, there's never been a point where I'm just like, oh my God, I've made it. I don't know. I've just never thought about that because I'm always thinking like 5 years later, like always, man. So it doesn't matter what happens now. If Playside sold tomorrow and I made all this money, I would probably not flinch. I'd probably be like, cool, now let's keep going. Like I'm already thinking what's next. So I guess we'll get to that later because that's why I'm a fucking mess. So back then I get the money. I'm like, all right, let's get to work. Like, let's fucking go hard. And this was the first time where I was like leader and I'm my own leader and I'm trying to learn how to deal with staff, but they're my staff now. Like it's very different as you know, it's like, it's a balancing act and it's much different when you get to 50. But back then there were 3. We were in this tiny room. We were making this game called Catch the Ark. And the whole idea was to make a product that would show how good our studio was. I took the best 3 people from EA that I knew, and we made this studio. And they were all juniors as well, but they were as good as I was. So we made this game. It took us a year to make one game. Now we make games like that in about 2 to 3 months with the same amount of people. It's just we didn't know back then what we were doing. Took us about a year to make it, spent all the money. I think we even got a grant from like Film Victoria for a bit of money as well, a small amount, and we made the game and we got a publisher, the same publisher that published Angry Birds, which at the time was everything. And we were like, we are going to be millionaires when this thing comes out. The game is the best looking game in the market. It's perfect for the market.
You guys built it for you.
Yeah, we built it for us, but we'd done a lot of testing. Every one of our friends had played it. They all said it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
At this exact point in time, there was a shift happening in the mobile world. We were going from premium, like $4, $1 games to free. And we're going to free with ads, right? And it was literally happening as we were launching. Like 2-3 months was going by and we were meant to launch.
What was yours?
Ours was paid at that time. It was $1.
Paid out.
99 cents, right? Too much to ask.
Too much, bro. Sorry.
Way too much to ask for a year's work. And it happened that the industry just shifted so quickly, and I was like, let's go free. And our publisher's like, no, free doesn't work. Like, just do $1 because they know that Angry Birds is $1 and it works. And I'm like, man, I just feel like this free thing is going to be huge. We didn't do it. We put it out for $1 and we made probably our money back, but like we could have sunk harder, but we made around about our money back. And I was just kind of like, what the hell do I do now? Like, we've literally just made our money back. We've got to do this all over again and figure out a way to make this work. So I sort of like rung Mark, and this is the thing, like, if I had raised money from anybody else, I don't think I would be the leader I am now. Like Mark, at that point, Mark is 10 years older than me. The whole way along, he's 10 years older, right? And the whole way along, he's much more mature. He's done things. He's a top investment banker in Melbourne. And he taught me, I guess, how to be the leader. And I've taken that, and I would hope that I've even excelled it even further, because that's literally all I do now. But at the time, I didn't know anything, man. And he would always pull me up on shit. Like I would say things and he'd be like, that's not true. You're not backing it up with facts, like things like that. Like, like you're an entrepreneur and you just throw around bullshit. Like I used to do that all the time. I'd be like, nah, it's gonna be the best game ever. He'd be like, why? I'm like, fuck, I don't know why. And it is. And he's like, no, tell me why and tell me what other games. He would think the way I think now, but I'm even more hardcore now. But it's the best way to think. Like, think about what's coming out of your mouth. Don't say it unless you're really ready to back it up. And that's how I think about everything now, whether it's at work or whether it's life or anything. Like, if you're going to say something, make sure you've got facts to back it up.
What's an example of that?
I think it's just like when you throw around numbers and stuff as well. Like, look, if this thing does well, it'll do 500 grand. And
how? Oh, then you go, how?
How? I'm like,
show me.
Well, this other game that's out is doing this. And be like, yeah, but that's a branded game. Why would yours do the same as that? I'm like, and you just start being like, what the fuck? So now you start doing your research. You find out exactly how much it's going to make. You come up with answers. Well, it's going to do that because each customer's worth $1. We're going to require customers at 30 cents. Like, and you start getting into it. Like, it's more than that as well, though. It's like just saying like, okay, so if I'll say, okay, this character should jump 2 meters, is everyone happy with that? And then you'll be like, no. I'll be like, all right, okay, why? And you'll be like, I don't know, I just think 2 meters is too high. That's not an answer. The answer should be, it needs to jump 1 meter. And the reason it's jumping 1 meter is because our obstacles are 50 centimeters. Like, you need to have answers. You can't just come with no, or you can't just come with yes and not really know
I like that.
what's after that.
Yeah.
And so my staff are all down with that. They all know that, like, don't just say shit. Like, really think about what you're going to say and research it beforehand. If we're going to have a meeting, make sure you've done your research. Like, and that also.
So I'm not feeling it is not an answer, really.
No, absolutely not.
I'm not feeling it. No, it's not
Look, okay. I am definitely one to say that shit, do it better. But like, because I'm very like black and white. Like, something's either shit or it's like amazing. Like, I'm never like, yeah, it's okay. If I say it's okay, people are like, what's wrong with it? Just tell me how to make it better. But I'm at the point now where I think I've proven myself along the way enough that people can trust that I know what's good and bad. And a lot of my leads are like that as well. But for everyone else, you have to be able to show that you can get to that level and that you are correct. So when you do choose to make the jump 1 meter high and the game does really well because of it and people are loving it, cool, that's a point for you now. So next time when you say, I don't need to have a reason why, just do it like this, people are like, yeah, well, you did. You changed it last time and it worked. So, but yeah, that all came from Mark. So yeah, I guess let's reverse now. So I ring Mark after we made our money back and I'm just like, well, I guess we're done. And he's just like, what do you mean we're done? Because I'm just feeling like shit. I'm like, I thought this thing was going to make us millionaires. We were going to sell the game. Then we were all going to go sail away on a boat or something. I hadn't even thought about growing a studio. I hadn't thought about what was next. So I'm just like, so, I hadn't paid myself, man. I was like 20 grand in credit card debt. Like, I was done. Like, so I'm thinking, we just made our money back. I've got enough money to pay those guys again, not myself.
Yeah.
And so what am I going to do now? So I rung Mark and I'm just like, dude, like, what am I going to do? And he was just like, no, we're going to be fine. Like, we've got money back now. Let's do it all again. Let's do some other shit. And I was just like, oh, fuck, okay, man. And so, that's when I started to look at business. All right, it's like, okay, cool. We're not worrying about a year runway now. Let's shorten it. Let's make it like 4 months runway. I'll pay myself 40 grand and we'll start again. So I went back to when I was 21 again. I'm like, 40 grand, let's do this. I'm running this company that is all over all the websites saying catch the arc, this and that. Meanwhile, I'm on nothing and struggling and I'm on 20 grand credit card debt. So that 40 grand is going to the credit card every month and the credit card's staying the same amount. And I'm just like, all right, cool. So we started. And then I get this email and it's like, remember, at this point, I'm just like, I'm going to create good games and make money from them. And I get this email and it's from Nickelodeon. And they're like, hey, we saw Catch the Arc and we're making a SpongeBob game and want to have a talk. I'm like, okay.
When you say from Nickelodeon, like who is actually from Nickelodeon?
It would be like, it would have been their like VP of whatever. Like there's like 300 VPs over there, but VP of marketing or whatever for the app team.
Okay.
And so it was the head. It was like one of the heads of the app team. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we get on the call and I'm just like, so what's this? I didn't even know what work for hire was at that point. Like I knew it existed, but I didn't know how it existed and stuff. So we start talking to them. And then while we're talking to them, we get another email from this company called Mind Candy who owns this brand called Moshi Monsters, which is huge back in the day. It was like Neopets. And they're like, we want to make a game as well, like a Catch the Arc game. It's best graphics, this and that. So my whole thing the whole time was to make a game that was super high quality for users to really think we're a good studio. But what it ended up being was we made this game that was such high quality that everyone else wanted it. Everyone else wanted to use us and make games from it. And I was just like, okay, so maybe there's something here. So the first one we signed was actually the Moshi Monsters contract. We started working on this like little racing game thing. With Nickelodeon, it took a little bit longer because they take ages to sort of greenlight stuff. And then we ended up greenlighting the SpongeBob movie game, which was like, now we're talking big. And that's when I was just like, all right, now we're talking. So we're still not talking millions of dollars. We're still talking maybe 300 grand and 400 grand or something like that.
How do you price? Like, how were you like pricing?
We were just guessing back then, man. Like we weren't even making money back then. We were just like, make enough money to pay us to make the thing. Yeah. And we'll keep going and we'll see what happens from there. We were guessing, like we're maybe making some profit, but not really.
Yeah.
So I probably reached out to some of the American guys I knew and just said, look, what should I charge for this? And one of them actually gave us their budget as well. So I was like, okay, cool. This is obviously what they're expecting. So we started using that for the other ones.
What leverage, man.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
mad. So I got that pretty early on. And then from there, man, it just like, that's when it started blowing up. We did that in the first year. And then we got like Lego Batman. No, we got, what was the first Warner Brothers one? Pan, the movie Pan. It was like, yeah. I was just like, I'll take it, but I want to do other shit together afterwards. And then we got Batman versus Superman. Then we got Lego Batman. The Lego Batman one was like the most fun because it's a sick franchise. We did Wonder Woman for them. It just started blowing up. Like as soon as you start doing these brands and your website is just full of brands, everyone else trusts that you know what you're doing. If you're working with them, you're with everyone. So everything's going somewhat okay. I'm still not paying myself anything.
Can you give me a time period here?
This is still like, this is probably 3 years in.
So 3 years in, you would have been 28.
Yes.
Okay, so now the ball's
starting to roll.
Yeah. And
now the ball's starting to roll. It's starting to become a real company. We've probably got maybe 20 people at the end of that. So when I'm around 28.
And you're still not making like money yourself.
No, like,
but see that's so crazy
because we didn't take dividends and shit like that.
Yeah, people on the surface would have been looking at you guys growing and expanding and being like, man, Jerry's baller, he's making so much money. But the reality is,
I don't have any money in my account.
That's insane.
Yeah, I had like probably $1,000 in my account, and I was probably had still 15 grand in credit card.
Wow.
So we didn't take any money out of the business. We're putting it all back in.
Yep.
And then it just kept snowballing, man. Like there's no real one moment that happened where we were like, oh, wow, we got this massive $1 million contract. It was just contract after contract and making sure that we're hitting all of them, making new connections. What I didn't mention as well is that I hired TJ, the guy that was sitting next to me at EA, like a year later, and he's now the COO of the company. So he runs a lot of the more, what Lebanese would call wedge bet.
Wedge bet? Yeah. I can't believe you know that. You've been around those too much.
Yeah.
Wedge bet. Oh my God.
So he runs the
Chief Operations. Yeah. No, Chief Wedge Bet Officer, exactly CWO.
Right. Yeah. So he does all the networking. Like I love talking to people and I love having meetings with people. I'm really bad in like public, like sort of out, like, you know, you're the only person there and you've got to meet people there. I'm terrible at that. And I know my weaknesses, so I'm not going to do it. Like, if someone comes to me and talks to me, I'm sure we'll get along really well and I'll probably become really good friends with that person. But in a meeting, like in a scenario where you're at a conference or something and there's just people everywhere and you don't know what to do, that's TJ. TJ will just walk in there and just talk to the head of the whole thing and suddenly be talking to the CEO of Activision or something. So he's a beast at that. I am not. So that's why I got him really early on. And around this time we went, you know what, let's do our first trip to America and go to one of these big conferences. So me and TJ went to San Fran, and it was so funny, man. At that point, by the way, I hadn't been on one trip since grade 6. That was it. So from grade 6 we went to Greece. 28, I went to San Francisco. There was at no point during my career could I leave. Like if I left EA, they would have replaced me with somebody better. If I left Playside in the beginning, it's not even like the boys have gone to Mykonos every year. They went for like 6 years to Mykonos. I didn't go once. So I'm just sitting there.
I know the feels, man. I'm going through that.
You have to do it. Yeah. It's just part of it. And like, who cares at the end of the day, man? At the end of the day, we'll be able to go on holidays for 20 years if we wanted to once this is all done.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I go to San Fran with TJ. We both do really well together. We're gelling. We're talking to the heads of, you know, Paramount, Universal, everyone. Like, these are our games. Like, if you want to use us, blah, blah, blah. And that just, from then on, became a thing. Like, TJ goes every 3 months now. I think he's in Japan at the moment. He was in China last month. He was in America the month before. That's just a big thing now. And it's just, it keeps relationships fresh. So even the people that you've worked with that you're not even looking for new jobs with, you just go there and say hi, have a coffee with them, whatever. Just keep that relationship good because we're at the other side of the world. You know, they're literally, they can walk next door and there's a studio. So we have to make sure that we're getting the same FaceTime as every other studio. So yeah, but even when I went to San Fran, man, like I would go home at 8:30 and like go to bed. TJ would come home at 3 a.m. Like he was just out at all the parties talking to everyone, and he's just a beast at that stuff. So that started to grow us even more. We started to do virtual reality stuff. Those contracts were a bit bigger. So now we're doing mobile, we're doing virtual reality, we're doing some PC stuff. We started launching way more of our own games as well. So we had this range called the Bits range. So it was like bouncy bits, tennis bits, a whole bunch of stuff that did really well. We made a lot of money off our own games with ads. And so now we're talking like, 2017. So it's not too long ago now. And then from there, man, like it just started snowballing, and then we are where we are now. And look, by 2017, 2018, we started to take a bit of money out of the business. Yeah. And this is 5 years out, man. So everyone that I know that's running companies now is just taking cash out, man. Like they're just paying themselves massive wages, taking dividends. Like just fucking stop, man. Yeah. Just relax. Just have enough to live. Make sure you don't have those credit card debts.
Okay, Gerry, I'll listen to you, man.
No, not you. But like, yeah.
I know, right? I know exactly what you're saying.
Put the money back into the business and grow it to the point where the money you're taking out actually matters. Yeah. This like money you're taking out now for no reason, keep it in the business.
Yeah, I know.
So that's it, man. And then now we are where we are. Then we started the app stuff, which was only like probably last year. Because making apps is 1,000 times easier than making games, and the money there is the same, if not bigger, for some of the apps. Yeah. So yeah, I think the first app we did was a Royal Stacks app with Danny. Yep. We did like a ordering service thing. It was really good.
Sorry, yeah,
we had the AR
cool.
little dancing burger and stuff. Yeah. Danny's a genius, man.
Yeah,
that guy is someone I really look up to. He gets branding more than anyone I know.
Do you know Danny was the first person to ever give me first successful entrepreneur to ever give me an audience to my message.
Really?
So I was like 18 years old, man. Fucking Danny's amazing, man.
Yeah, he's
like,
the best.
I reached out to so many people.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'm 18 or 19, I can't remember. I'm hungry. I want to become successful. Can I please have half an hour of your time just to sit down and talk to you? I swear. He said yes.
Yeah.
I went to Royal Stacks in Collins Street.
Yeah.
I sat with him. Half an hour on the dot. He was gone because he was so busy.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, best guy ever. Yeah. So you do the Royal Stacks app and
then we left apps for a bit because work for hire in apps is way smaller than games. Games, they pay you a lot of money, but you spend a lot of money as well, but the margin's better. With apps, it's very hard to get a lot of money out of someone unless you're doing something for like Coles or Myer or something like that. And even then, it's just ball breaking work. Like we decided that, you know what, if we're ever going to do apps, we will only pick apps that do well, that we think will do well, like we do with our games. We'll only ever pick products that we think will do well. We will partner with people. So we're actually not going to charge them work for hire rates. We'll charge them either cost price or we'll do it for free, depending on the client. And we will only pick apps that we know are going to do well. And that's what we did. And it's so far doing very well for us. So we've got a lot in the pipeline currently. You already know what's out. Keep It Cleaner. Already had a business before they came to us, but we can get into the girls later.
Yeah.
But all that stuff, it's because I knew what already worked on the App Store at that point. I was the App Store, like I knew everything about it. For 7 years, I've been doing it. So when it came to apps, it was just the same thing as games. Like, let's just do it and let's just kill it. And everything we've done so far is just killing it. So if you ever come to me with an app and I say, like, yes, you know that your app is going to do well.
Yeah.
There is no way I'm saying yes to it otherwise. We're not Appstar that went under. They're just outsourcing to everybody. That was real bad.
Are they done?
They're done.
What?
Thank God.
No
because
way.
that was a really dodgy business.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to talk too much about it.
I've spoken to other app developers.
Everyone got screwed.
About them. Yeah.
Everyone got screwed because of that thing. Because they just scaled to a ridiculous size. Once again, hardly making any money. And they're outsourcing everything to India and all these countries that the apps will get done, but they won't work. Like it will be trash. And they knew that. And that's what they were doing, man. They was giving everybody trash and then they were just being fluffy with it. And that's what we'll never be. We'll never be a typical app company. We're only going to partner with people. So that's where we're at with the app stuff. But yeah.
Whoa, man. You went through that all the way up until this point.
A lot.
Now I'm going to pick and choose where to go back to because there's questions I had along the way. So I want to go back to after you start getting approached by Nickelodeon, you start getting approached and things start to snowball, right? Now, in your mindset as like an entrepreneur, what was going through your head? Were you like, finally, or was there, what was the moment like, was there any moments of celebration, and what was like, or was have you always just been the same where it's like, what's next, or what's next? Like, this is normal.
Sadly,
you know what I mean? Like what was going through your mind during it? It was like, you're like, Is it casual
Nothing.
to you?
Well, it's not that it's casual. It's just stressful because the more money you make, the more staff you put on, and it doesn't end. Like you can't just go, oh, okay, we've made all this money now. That's it. Thank you. Like you've got to spend that money again and make more money. It's just constant turnover of money. And so that's why even to this day, it doesn't, as I said, it doesn't matter if I got a $20 million contract, I'm going to have to put another 100 staff on to make that. And then those 100 staff need a place to live for the next 10 years. So that's how I think of everything. All my staff are full-time. Every single one of them is on a contract, like written full-time contract. I don't have any casuals. I don't have any contractors. I don't have anything like that. It's all 50 staff are 50 staff. And the reason we did that was because EA shut us down for no reason. Like, I don't ever want to be in that position. I don't want to ever tell my staff, rock up one day and be like, guys, we're done. Thank you very much. I want to at least tell them like 6-7 months beforehand that that's going to be the case so they can find new jobs and stuff like that. So at the moment, we're good, but you're always looking like, hey, we've got enough money for X amount of years. And so that's how you think about everything, right? So you can't ever think like, oh, I just got this massive project, so now I'm rich. It doesn't work like that. You don't just take that money out of the business. The money's all there. So I don't know. I don't know how even anyone thinks like that. It's unless you're working in like, I don't know, like unless you've been like backed by a government thing where they're like using you for 10 years and you can forecast out 10 years and you know that you're not going to screw up, so you're going to make all that money. Cool. That's something to be happy about. If you're working in like a wholesaler environment where, you know, you're distributing to restaurants or, you know, doing e-commerce stuff, but you're with a solid brand that you know are going to buy from you, they're making big money. It's a bit easier, but with like work for hire stuff or with your own products, every year's different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I've never felt a second of success.
Yeah,
to that level.
I get you, and I guess that's why you guys were actually able to like scale properly, is because you never were really taking money out. Like if you sign a bigger contract and now you guys are making $300,000 extra a year, you would put that into staff. You'd put that into hiring an office or whatever that may be. So, but yeah, I want to know as well, because the place that you guys have currently got. Your office is so cool.
Yeah.
Like I've been there. I haven't been there since because you renovated as well.
When did you come?
I would have came like on. 3 years ago, probably like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I think.
So there probably no desks or anything.
No, there was. Okay. You had the big meeting room.
Yeah,
that one is still there. Okay. I know that. I saw your glass.
Oh, okay. So we maybe just built it, but the colourful shit wasn't in. Nothing like that.
I don't think so. Yeah, cool. No. Yeah. So
that place was just a shell when we got it. It was literally like a what's it called? The guys that ring you up and shit. Whatever.
Telemarketing.
Yeah, like 300 people in one room, like
just
making calls, like desks and chairs, all that was gone. So it was literally just carpet for 750 square meters, and the roof was all like foam roofing. So we got in there and we're like, fuck, what are we going to do to this joint, man? Because we wanted somewhere huge that we could expand to, but we also wanted something that was going to look cool. And to make something that big look cool cost a lot of money. And it was just like, it was a massive investment we had to put down. But it had to be done because we wanted somewhere cool for people to work. We want people to feel like they're having fun coming to work every day. And to this day, I walk into that office and I'm just like, this place is insane. So like we ripped all the roof out straight away and like spray painted everything black in the roof. Like the floor we like ripped off, and then it just cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to polish the floor. I actually designed the whole interior of it myself. So everything that's there was a design that I came up with. We did all that. And yeah, now it just looks insane. And we'll never have to move unless we actually have to move. But if we scale to even 100 people, we can fit 100 people in there easily. So right now everyone's really spread out and there's a lot of like fun spaces and stuff. It'd be good to keep that, but if we need to add more people, we can do it. So
okay, all right,
yeah.
So all right, so now you guys are growing, right? And you're getting on more contracts, and you guys are bringing on new staff. How are you beginning now to deal with no longer being someone who's like running a 3-man company, and now you've turned into Gerry, who is now responsible for 10 to 15 people, 10 to 15 personalities, and adding every single week or month or whatever.
Yeah.
How was that transition like? Was it just something that you just fell into and it was like normal to you, or did you have to like make a lot of mistakes and then learn from it?
Oh, definitely made a lot of mistakes. I think that dealing with staff is like one of the hardest things because I'm just a really friendly person. So I want to be as friendly to everyone as possible, but then that just becomes so hard when you have to tell people off or do whatever. And so in the beginning days, it was really hard because in the beginning I was both. I was the good cop and the bad cop, and it was really hard. It was ruining relationships with people because I was trying to be friends with them and we're going outside after work and having like awesome times. And then I'd come to work and be like, that's not good. We have to do it better. And they'd be like, oh, we're friends. Why are you know what I mean? Like it's a bit different. So there's a balance. I would like to think that now now it's different because now I'm not the person that is really responsible for how well they're doing. I'm just the guy that's the creative that's going to help wherever I can with the project. So it allows me to be way more open and friendly with everyone. And I call them all my best friends. Like, they're amazing. It's literally like a family there. And I literally like love them. They're the best. So I want what's best for them. And if I can help them as much as I can to do that, but if they're going to screw up in their work and stuff, they're going to have their own leads to deal with. So it's not really me anymore. Like, I can support you and I can say, let's do it like this, or let's do whatever. Or if you ever need anything, come talk to me in my office. But when it comes to pay rises, or whether it comes to being fired or whatever, it's like, you're going to have to do what you do and I can't help with that. Like, the leads come to the producers and the producers come to the VP and they say, hey, this guy needs to go, or, this person needs to work harder and they need to do this. I can't step in anymore. So that's why I think my relationship's a bit different now. It's a bit better. It was very hard doing both because it's almost impossible. And I'm not that person. I'm not the person that can, I'm not very good at handling the negative stuff. Yeah. I'm much better doing the, let's work together as a team and let's make this thing happen. Okay. So yeah.
All right. So now what I want you to talk about, because right now when people come to your Instagram page, for example, right? And
because I don't even know what my Instagram page is at the moment. I need major help with it. But anyway, yeah.
Well, okay. I'll give you the impression of like typical entrepreneurs or anyone who's like, first of all, it's very inspiring, right? But also, I think it's so easy to take a look at what you've got going on when I see photos of the new incredible beast that you've got in, which I saw you come with. It was just out of this world, right?
Yep.
And then all the designer that you've got in and your wardrobe and, your stories and like what you guys do, like the kind of life that you live right now. Mm-hmm. So can you take me back to when things started shifting from $20,000 in credit card debt, barely paying yourself, to then beginning to live that lifestyle, transitioning into that one where you have money to go and eat wherever you want at any time that you want, to go overseas anytime you want, to enter any store that you want and buy at what point did that change? When was the shift?
Well, first of all, like, I think Susie said to me last night, I was like, fuck, I'm so like stressed out at the moment. And there's nothing to be stressed out about. It's just, I'm always stressed out. And she's like,
Susie's your wife.
Yes. Yeah. And she goes, you can't talk like that. People would dream to be where you are. And I'm like, people would dream to be where I am, but none of them would do what I've done to get here. Like, it's that simple. And that's why it's like, you want that car? You want this fucking Gucci shit? You want whatever? Come and do what I've done and then take it. Like, please take it from me, bro. Because if you can do it, then go and do it. Don't look at me and be like, oh, how did he get that? Blah, 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 and hate on it. Like, please, for the love of God, go and do it. Because that's what I want for everyone to be able to do, but it's not achievable for everyone. Like, I would much rather just be working 9 to 5 and making good money on a job and not be stressed at all, bro. This was not easy. It's not even something that I really chose when I was getting into it. It was just, as I said, I thought we're making an app and this was going to blow up and we're going to make millions. Happened, man. And it just happened. And I just happened to be the guy that was there and in charge. And that's where I've ended up. But if people are going to look at that and be like, how is he getting that? I've just literally told you in the last, however long we've been going. If you want to go and do all that, go back as far as primary school, do all that as well, and then tell me whether I deserve any of that shit. Yeah. I deserve 10 times more than that shit for what I've been through. So I'm never going to feel sorry for it. I'm never going to be arrogant about it because I know there's people that had what I had back then. As I said, I think the other day I said that quote. I came up with this quote on my Instagram, which was good.
Yeah, okay.
I said, confidence is knowing that you're the best. Arrogance is thinking that you're better than anybody else. And that's the complete different. I'm completely confident in my abilities. And if everything was to fall over tomorrow, I know that I can pick up and do it all again.
Yeah.
But I'm in no way arrogant. And in no way will I treat anybody else, whether it's the guy at the Macca's drive-thru, whether it's the Uber driver, whether it's somebody serving me food. At no point will I ever think that I'm better than them.
Yeah.
Because at any point I could become them again. And that's where I was, however many X years ago when I was working at Macca's. I was working at EB Games, all these things when I was working and doing uni at the same time. So I think that...
Do you really think you can get back to that?
Maybe. But I know that if I get back to that, I'll be able to get back to where I am now. Might take maybe a couple of years, might be shorter, but it's like in Entourage, I think Vince always used to be like, what's the worst case? We go back to where we were. And it's like,
actually, I remember that from Entourage.
Was it really that bad? Yeah. So this is what I'm saying, man. Like, to get all this stuff comes with a lot of stress, and I don't think that is... Like, everyone says, like, money buys happiness. It's bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit. It makes your life a bit easier, but that doesn't buy happiness because you had to get that money somehow. And however you got that money is probably come with a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people are cut out for it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they should be. And I don't think that's how life should be. That's why
it shouldn't be looked at as like the ideal.
No, and that's the thing. Everyone's growing up, like leaving uni now and leaving even year 12 and be like, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I was like, hold on, man. Like, do you know what comes with this? Do you know what happens when you get past that early scaling level? It's not easy, man. And we all know all the entrepreneurs we know, and we love them all, and they're all going through the same stress as we are. It's not, and you've seen like how much further along I am. I'm still going through it. So as long as everyone knows that on this road, it doesn't get easy at any point.
That's refreshing to hear, because the thing is, like where I am in my entrepreneurial journey is probably at that 3 staff level, which you talked about. That's where we are, right? And I'm waiting for that scale, and I'm waiting for it. And to me, that scale comes with finally making a dream come true, right? But I don't consider that when I get to, if I get to the stage where you're at right now, that's going to come with a whole nother, and the process is going to be, there's just so much more involved, and that people don't consider. I get that, but not a lot of people are going to understand that, man.
Yeah.
They're going to look at you and they're going to say, it's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
Oh man, like, hey,
and it is easy for me to say. Yeah. But you know what? Fuck, I earned it. So let it be easy. You know, the funny thing is that
I love that.
I've been thinking lately, like, it's funny, like that easy for you to say thing. I've been thinking heaps about the word like hard, and like we all say like it's hard to do this or it's hard to do that. Now, aside from being like disabled or something like that where it's actually hard for you to do something, me and you, people say it's hard to run a business, but then once you learn how to do it, it's easy. So was it really hard in the first place, or was just gaining that knowledge was something that you just had to do? So as I said, if anything was to happen today, tomorrow I'd be up with a new business and now I'd have some money to put behind it myself. I'm in no way stressed about that. I'm stressed about making Playside the biggest thing that's ever happened. Yeah. And that's why this whole sort of like it's easy for you to say, or if it's hard to do that. No, it's not. It's not hard to do that. You've just got to go and do what I just said that I've done. So go and do it. Yeah. And I'll help you in every way, and I'll make it easier, because I never had a mentor in the industry or someone in e-commerce or anything saying this is how to do it. Like I can talk to people like Greta now, or James and Manny, and like, you know, Greta gives me info and helps me out, and I talk to James and Manny and give them info, and they talk to me about e-commerce because they're machines at it. Yeah. And it's like all of this sort of circle we've got are all feeding off each other. If I had that back then, man, I probably would have taken me 3 years to get to where I was. Someone would have told me earlier on, do work for hire. Somebody would have told me earlier on, hey, go to America and put in some money and go overseas. None of that stuff happened because we didn't have anyone in the industry that I had a mentor for. So I'm happy to help anyone. I've said that in my DMs. I got like probably get 30 DMs a day asking for help. Yeah. And wherever I can, I do. It's not always easy. But, you know, that's my, you know, it might be easy for me, but sure, I'll help make it easier for you. See if it makes it any better. It won't. Yeah. You still have to do it. As I said, it doesn't end. Like, unless you're creating a product like a liar, where you can actually create this product for 3-4 years, sell it, thank you very much, start the new thing. But then you still have to start the new thing. Whatever money you just made, like Musk, he made like how much off PayPal?
150 million.
And he put it all into fucking...
put half and half. And then he was borrowing money for rent.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. Yeah. So yeah, okay, you get to have some nice shit. Who cares? Like, really, who gives a shit? Doesn't make you any happier. The car makes me happy when I'm sitting in it, but I know because I had to work for
Your car made me happy looking at
Good.
it. Good.
But bro, I could have bought some stupid car. Yeah, you know what I mean? I didn't. Yeah. I kept it somewhat within a grasp of what I think is normal. Yeah. And that's it. I know people that are earning a tenth of what I'm earning, and they're buying the same shit. Yeah. So explain that to me. Like, how is that easy for them? Yeah. Like, it's all relative, man. It doesn't you make more money, you buy a bigger house, you buy a better car. Everyone's living the same, trust me. It's just that maybe one person's life looks better than another, but no one has any idea. So, yeah. That's actually something I've been so intrigued about you. And even when I'm talking to my friends, right? Because I've had the opportunity to speak to you, and I'm like asking you questions. Remember, you once put out that whole question thing on Instagram, and I asked you a question which was burning me, and that was like, bro, I'm doing well, right? I'm growing a business, but me being an entrepreneur online, it comes with a certain image, and it's like it's so hard. It's so hard for me. Like, my stomach turns sometimes when I'll meet someone, right? And then like my image of what they think I am does not match what they see in real life. Like, even the car that I come up with or what I'm wearing, it just doesn't match. But because I'm in this hustle phase right now, I'm trying to reinvest into myself. Yeah. So then I asked you, I'm like, at what point should I justify getting myself nice things? At what point in business?
and you gave me the most conservative answers. I was like surprised, man.
I can't even remember this.
Yeah,
what did I say?
No, it was something along the lines of, if like use it was like some rule, unless you have triple the amount of the car value in your bank account, something like that.
Yeah.
Then don't even think about going and getting it.
Yeah, I think it was like if you can't pay off the car with what you've already got in the bank account, don't go and get a loan, like things like that.
Yeah, you were giving me like really
remember
conservative.
why, bro?
Yeah.
Because I came from nothing. So like it seems stupid to me to go and do that.
Yeah, but do you know what's crazy? Looking at your lifestyle,
You think that I would just go and do it?
Yeah, but looking at your lifestyle, I mean, what's crazy to me is I'm like, if he's conservative, then that's awesome, man. Like you're conservative, you're still, you know what I mean? Like where you could be going and get there, like you're still choosing.
I'm buying shit and doing stuff now that I could have done 3 years ago. Put it that way. Could have easily done it 3 years ago, but it makes sense for me to do it now because it's safer. I never want to put Susie in jeopardy. I never want to put ourselves in jeopardy where it's like if everything fell over for some random reason, that we would have nothing. And that's just never going to happen to me. And that's because of where I came from. Where I came from, I had nothing. So I would have died to have this money one day. So I need to make sure it's still there. I'm still looking after it. Like I'm not like spending all this money. Like people are always like, oh, you got all this Gucci shit. I don't, man. I got like 4 pairs of Gucci shoes over 7 years. Like, do you know what I mean? Like people see shit on Instagram and they think that I'm literally at Gucci every week. I might be, but I can be. So like, who cares? Like who literally cares? I could be doing way worse shit. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And that's why, that's the problem I've got with Instagram is it's like, I want to preach the one message, which is don't buy this shit unless you got money for it.
Yeah.
But then I also want to inspire people and be like, well, I didn't have anything ever.
Yeah.
And now I do. So be like me. You can do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's really hard on Instagram, man, because when someone comes to your page and they see the grid needs to say that as well. And that's where I struggle with Instagram. I don't think that I'm that person that's going to go and do all that sort of shit and do what you do. I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's a you thing. That's a Christian thing. It's not a me thing. I think maybe I'm even more like Manny and James, where we're just like everything's just behind doors. But what you do, if I could do it, my business would probably be another couple $1 million better off every year. Easy.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people find me through Instagram, but they're not necessarily finding what I'm talking about on Instagram. They're just finding me and then seeing the links and be like, oh, he did this. I need an app. Yeah. Whatever. So I don't know. Instagram's really hard for me because I don't want to be like Gary V. I don't want to like fucking talk about this shit all the time. I talk about it enough during the week. That's why I like doing podcasts. I can just come here, get it all out, and then thank you very much. Yeah. But it's hard.
Have enough clips for the next.
Yeah. And trust me, I've got teams at school, at bloody work, that we talk about what should my Instagram look like, and everyone like does some concepts and stuff. And I was starting it again a couple of weeks ago. I'm just like, man, I can't do this. Like I just all the shit that comes with it and everything. I'm just like, it's not me. I like fashion, man. What do you want from me? I've liked fashion before I had money. Yeah. I bought a pair of Gucci sneakers when I had nothing. Yeah. So it's like, I don't buy fashion to like look better to other people. I buy fashion because I love the designers. All these people buying all these brands and shit, bro. They don't even know who designs it. They don't know who the bloody creative directors are. They don't know shit. Everyone knows Virgil now because of Off-White and Louis Vuitton. They didn't know him 5 years ago when he was doing Pyrex. Yeah. Like I know all that shit. So I follow them all. I buy their stuff.
To me, that makes sense because you like if I was to circle all the way back to when you were in year 10 and drawing on it comes with that artistic vibe. Yep. So you being into fashion makes sense.
I had a fashion brand as well. I didn't even speak about that. When I started EA, there was a point where I was like devastated. I had no money. I had the credit card debt. I think before I had the credit card debt, I had like $2,000 in my bank account. This was after I'd used all the EA money and I started Playside, So I was doing that and I'm like, I need to make some money. So I started a fashion brand and I actually made like $100,000 off this fashion brand in like a year and a bit. And then Playside just got so big that I just had to get rid of it. Like it was doing really well, but I just had to cancel it. And yeah, that's how I made a bit of money. But then all that money, man, was gone of fucking bills and the credit card started coming up. It was just, it's like you make $100,000, really of that was $20,000 profit back to where you were. Like it's just, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But I enjoyed it a lot. And if you go to Instagram and type in XO Avenue as a hashtag, all the shit's there. There's like 700 posts.
XO Avenue.
XO Avenue, yeah. It was cool, man. And so I love fashion. And so I'll never be apologetic for buying fashion because
no, of course.
It's almost like Troy buying cars. Like if I was going and buying the cars that Troy does and doing them up and shit, people think, what the fuck's this guy doing? Like he doesn't know anything about cars. Good. Troy can do it. I can do fashion. Yeah. Like if you like fishing, go and buy some fishing shit. This is my hobby. Like so it just happens that my hobby is the thing that people see online or they see in person like, oh, he's always got this new shit or whatever. Like Oh man, like
Yeah.
people spend as much money on what I spend, like buying like Magic the Gathering cards and like Pokemon cards and shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
fuck whatever.
I get
Do
you.
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
And I don't really have any other hobbies at all.
Yeah.
I don't do drugs, as I said. I don't drink much. I don't go out. I literally haven't been to a club in like
Just
3-4
shisha.
years. Just shisha. That's expensive.
Yeah.
I think I spend more on that than anything else.
Yeah.
But that calms me down, man. I get back from home or we go to Mint & Co or whatever, and I'm just kicking back and smoking this shisha. I'm just
I love it. Yeah.
breathing.
I don't smoke, but I
Yeah.
love, even the vibes to me is enough.
There's nothing else you can do as like a group of
everyone's
boys.
so relaxed. Yeah.
Apart from going for dinner, right?
Yeah.
And going for dinner it's loud and you're eating, and
Yeah.
this is just kick back.
Yeah.
Let's discuss business. Let's talk about whatever. I love that, man.
Yeah.
I know it's not healthy, but fuck, as I said, I don't do anything else. So
Yeah.
let me do that.
I getcha.
And then that's it. So, no one's perfect, man. But as I said, what I am doing is very much within the rules that I gave you, which is, 10% of what you make that month or whatever you can spend on, anything you want.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
your own shit. You spend it yourself.
What I want to know as well is some throughout the past, since like 28 to what you are now, so around four years of real like growth in the business. It hasn't come and just been like this. You've had moments, surely you've had moments where you're like, fuck, like we're done. Or I don't know if you've had that, or just been in like massively stressed situations. I'm not sure if you can get into detail of any of these stuff, but if you can at least give an example of something that
Super stressful time.
Yeah, just like a super stressful time, and then what your thoughts were what was going through your head, and then what did you just do to get through it?
Yeah, I think there's a super stressful time back in like 2017. We just scaled, we just got to the new office. We were like we're working really hard. And this is where I even say stuff like, I still, even to that point, wasn't the best manager. I didn't know. People were working later hours trying to get these games out. Nowhere near as bad as America. Maybe it was like once a month, like, everyone was working really hard for a week or whatever. But we were working on so many products, and we had one relationship that we had that was just, we never gelled with these guys. Like, they're these American guys making this product, and everything we did was never good enough for these guys. They thought they knew everything. They were a new company. They were telling us, do this, do that. And the whole step away, I was like, man, this is not how you make this game good. And I was telling them, and they were getting angry, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll just do whatever they want. And it was just a bad relationship, and the game ended up getting cancelled. Now, I had like 15 people on this game, so I was just like, man. And it was a lot of money. They decided like, we're not going to pay them for all the other stuff. Like, they were real like just dog about it. And for no reason, for their own damage. Like, it was literally them that did this, but then they just put it on us. So we had all these people on, and suddenly like that timeline that I'm talking about, those years or whatever of just suddenly it's like 3 months, and it's like, shit, what do we do now? And I didn't fire a single person because of that. I think maybe one or two that would, they were performing poorly, but everyone else in the team that had done well and that had done good by me stayed because it was my mistake. I didn't want to just go and fire. Like, I've never done that. I've never just fired a team because the game has been disappointing or whatever. And so I can't remember exactly what happened, but we probably would have got another contract. We would have figured it out. But for those like 3 months or whatever, man, I was like, far out. But I think like that now, even though we've got years out now, I still think like, what happens if every game stopped at once? Like, what happens if all the apps just stopped making money? When the app store turned off for a month? Like, you never know, man. And you're always thinking like that. So when I'm up at night, I'm just like thinking of new ideas and then thinking of terrible scenarios and stuff. But it never happens. But that's the life of a CEO, I guess.
Yeah. And what is the life of a CEO? Talk to me about your schedule. Talk about how many.
Apparently, it's all Gucci and cars.
Yeah, man. Where do you find time to work on apps when you're
I
at
find
Louis
time to
Vuitton?
drive the car to work and drive it back. And I don't do ridiculous hours anymore because I've put together an amazing team that does. As I said, TJ's my CEO. Danny's the GM of the company. He's a beast. He's one of the best leaders in the industry, not just in the games industry, but in the tech industry. Under him is producers, under them is lead designers, lead artists, lead coders, all this sort of stuff. And then the team are just, I guess the top management is so good that the team are just left to do what they do best, which is, develop the games. They don't have to worry about whether we're running behind on schedule and all this sort of stuff. So everything flows really well now. Could I, if anything ever happened to me tomorrow, would the company be fine? Yes. Would I ever step away from the company? No, because I feel like being there, there's just something about the morale or something that, I'm there and we can all work together and stuff. And it might be that I'm not even working on anything, but just being there. It'd be weird if I just suddenly left because I kind of feel like I am the lifeblood of the company. And in a way it's good and in a way it's bad because I can't just step back now and be like, all right, cool. Like, So it's positives and negatives about it, but it is what it is. And the life is literally, we start at 9:30, not 9. So people don't have to go through traffic and shit in the morning. So start at 9:30. The studio closes like 5:30. I'm usually out by about 4:35.
Yeah.
I do all my work like in the morning. I'll get there. What are all the problems? All right, cool. Like, let's talk to all the people that are involved in like whatever needs to happen. So, this project's doing this project's doing this. Like the other day we got hacked. I'm like, all right, so just getting to work. And it just hits me. As soon as I walk in, TJ walked into my office and closes the door. I'm like, just kill me now, man. Like, I just can't have one morning where I get in and like TJ brings me a coffee or something. He's like, here you go, bro. It's been a good day. I'm like, all right, mad. It's just always problems. That's the job of a CEO. The job of the CEO is not, hey, we're doing really well.
Yeah. Gary Vee talks about that.
Does he? Okay.
He says when someone asks me what I do, he doesn't say he's a CEO. He says he's a firefighter.
There you go. That's all it is.
Putting out fires.
Like we were meant to do this podcast last week.
Yeah.
And
So
we just
for those of you who don't, we scheduled this podcast a week ago.
Yeah.
And I was ready to I was ready to put out.
I messaged you an hour before, like I'm coming at 12 or whatever time it was. And then we got hacked. One of the products got hacked, and I'm just like, what world is this? Like, we've never been hacked before. And so I got in there and it was nothing. It ended up being nothing at all. But for the 3 hours, man, my heart's like, boom, 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 boom. We were ringing FBI, like not FBI, but the proper guys, like we had the digital crime agency on it. Ended up being nothing at all. But like, that's the type of shit that you just get to work after like not sleeping all night and you just get that shit thrown at you and you're like, what is going on?
You know what, bro? After a heart attack like that, you deserve everything.
I know. Did I get anything? No.
No.
Exactly.
I love it, man.
I know, but this is, and that's the life, man. Like, it's just, if Gary Vee says it, then that's how it is. It's just literally firefighting.
Putting out fires,
You don't, there's like, okay, something successful happens, the team celebrates it. I didn't do it. So the team can have a celebration, they can go out for dinner and celebrate. I will celebrate their success, but it wasn't my success. Like, my success is the whole studio as a whole. And that is just firefighting the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's every company in the world. Okay. It's Apple, it's Amazon, it's everyone. Yeah. So it's otherwise, and the thing is, what I'm really good at is fixing those problems, is getting in there and just going, okay, cool. What is happening? Like, can we do it all? And that's the one thing that I can sort of help turn things around really quickly.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that if I wasn't there, maybe wouldn't. There's just some things that happen. I'm just like, how did nobody see this? Yeah. And so sometimes I'll get involved.
That's what makes you unique, is that?
Maybe. Yeah. I think it's like, we'll launch a product and like on day one, I'll be like, hey, I'm doing this and this is broken and there's a million users hitting the app right now. Why is this happening? And it's been tested for weeks and no one's seen it. And it's just like, come on, man. And so then I'll be like, oh, cool, this is what we're doing today. At 2:00, we're sending the build to Apple. It's going to get submitted, and let's start working on another build just in case that doesn't work. And like just starting to put the puzzles together. But I feel like if I wasn't there, maybe some things like that would slip through. But it's the guys do so well now, guys and girls do so well that if a product is 80% instead of 100%, it's still going to be amazing. So it's I don't have to get involved 24/7.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so I want to take you to something I've been wanting to talk to you about, and you said no limit. So you're happy to talk to me about anything, right? Okay. So I told you previously before we actually started this, I was in a meeting doing my best to close a contract with someone I was pitching.
Yep.
And then throughout the meeting, there was like a bit of silence, like while I was putting up something on the computer, and this random person looks at me and goes, "Do you know what shade is?" I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, do you know what shade is? I'm like,
did he know that you knew?
Nothing.
So you're just asking a question, what shade is?
Literally the most random thing. So this is during the time, and I'm like, nah, I have no idea, right? And then I heard about it. He goes, yeah, this thing that keeps popping up on my Instagram. It's like people asking like, what is shade? And then funny enough, we were pitching a client, a big client. We were trying to get them to, we were going to show them how social signals really, really help with, Google presence and all that sort of stuff. And we wanted to say, we're like, look, what we'll do is use your social presence to get people to search you on Google. Yeah. And here, let's show you an example. There was this, and it happened completely randomly. So, Waleed, you've seen him on my Instagram. Yeah. Waleed didn't know, I didn't even know that you were connected to What Is Shade or anything, right? So this was still when it was really thing. And Waleed saw in the Google keyword planning and analytics that the question what is shade on Google jumped. Wow. Like it peaked, right? Wow. And he used it in our proposal. He's like, here's an example of company that's working to build present, and then they ended up getting people to search on Google, and this is what could happen, and he explained it. And by the way, this is all happening. I didn't even know you were a part of what it is. And then I'm like, okay, what is Shay? And he's building this hype, and it was able to tap into something where it literally got people talking, like in a random, like I know you, but I still didn't really know, and I didn't know who was and what it was, and then it launched, and then it was like real fucking. There was like a heaps of hype, and everyone was really, really curious. And now I know that it's. I don't know if you guys end up shutting it down
like this, and then it's like that.
And that's good because you're someone who's built and done so much, but still you go through failures as well.
100%.
So I want to ask, what was that like? What was the idea, and what ended up happening for it?
So the idea was this. So I've invested in a company called Big Esports, and it's something Playside have invested in as well. Me and the founders of Playside. We have a VC group called 2050, and we invest in like small textile, things. So we invested in Big Esports, and Chris Smith runs Big Esports. He's like very well known in the esports industry. And I said to him, listen, I love FaZe. I love all these guys. I want to do something like that in Melbourne. And how do I make it happen? So we sat together, and he was like, look, I think we should just go the full esports route. And he's like, we should just go and get Twitch streamers and all this sort of shit. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be hard to get them. We have to pay them a lot of money, the big Twitch guys, whatever. And, a lot of them are very focused on just playing games. I'm like, I want a lifestyle brand. I want to do YouTube. I want to do this. I had this massive idea of what I wanted to do. So I was obviously, at that point, I had become pretty good mates with Mitch Orville. And we'd only just started our sort of friendship really at that point.
From Angry Dad.
Yeah, from Angry Dad. So funny, I did banter for those guys. Yeah. And then me and Mitch became good mates outside of work. And he's hilarious, man. Like when it comes to YouTube and shit, the guy, and even his Instagram is just on point.
Yeah.
So I said to Mitch, I'm like, why don't we do this together, but we'll take a different approach. We'll go full social media, Instagrammers and YouTubers and stuff, and then we'll bring them to the gaming world and see if that works. And so look, I'm really good at launching products, hype, branding, all that sort of stuff. So I nailed the branding, nailed the launch. Me and Mitch worked together. Mitch got every celebrity that he knew to post about this shit. Like we had everyone, right? And it had a massive launch, and I was just like, this is going to be huge. The first video had like 70,000 views, and I was just like, all right, this is now we're on. And then I don't know what happened. It just didn't. I think maybe there was too much hype to begin with. There was too much like, what is this? We never really, even in the branding, sort of showed what it could be. So everyone was asking what it could be, even though 80% of them weren't interested in games. So the other problem was, so we had the house. The house was super expensive, but it was mad. No one ever moved into the house. So Mitch was in there like by himself for a bit, but then no one else was ever in there. If we had everyone in the house, that would have helped a lot as well.
That was crazy. Like I was thinking about the whole house situation.
The house
what was
crazy.
The idea of the house? Was it just to pay like you rented a house?
Yeah, we rented like this mansion in Brighton.
Yeah.
And the idea was eventually to get all the sort of top guys in there to live in there. But Mitch at that point was really
were you like leaning, obviously you've heard of like, was it Top 10? Team 10? Team 10.
Exactly like that, but with more gaming.
Okay, yeah.
There's a company in Queensland called Click, and they're very good at it. They all live in one house. So we did that, and I don't know. The views started to fade away. Our content was mad. If you go and look at Shade YouTube content, but the problem is we're getting all this hate because all the people that were really originally like following the page and looking at the YouTube didn't know what it was going to be. So we were doing a lot of the stuff that all the other guys are doing, but it just wasn't gelling. And my whole thing is, if there's any growth at all in a product, like even if it's like, say you make an app and you're getting 10 subscribers a week, if your 10 subscribers are actually going up by say 5 subscribers every week, so 5 are dropping and whatever, like if you're still growing, keep going and go as hard as you possibly can on it. Because eventually those 10 subscribers will be 100 subscribers and you'll grow.
Okay,
right? So the problem is when you launch really well and it starts to just drop massively and you're putting money into marketing and you're doing all this, there's something wrong with the product at that point. And I think what we found was that, when Mitch and everyone moved over to Twitch, once again, in the beginning, it was huge. Mitch had like 250 concurrent viewers on Twitch, which is massive. Most people if they've got 250 every day, they're making decent money. So we launched that, and then the next day it was more like 200, and then the week after it was like 80, and it's like, what the hell's going on, man? It's like everyone's down for the hype, but maybe the Melbourne sort of scene isn't ready for this yet. And I think if I'd just done what Chris said in the beginning, which was let's get Twitch guys involved, maybe we'd have had to pay a lot for them anyway. maybe if we'd just gone gaming only, it would have worked, but we wouldn't have launched with massive hype. Like there's just negatives to both sides.
Yeah.
So it's the type of thing where I know what we did wrong in a lot of the way. And it's just even things like we could have had more Mitches, like we could have had more talent. We didn't. Mitch was really the only one that was really bringing that value to the company. And so I think if we had 5 more Mitches, we'd be still running Shade today.
How are you guys planning on making money? Was it through Twitch?
At this point, we weren't really concerned about that.
Okay.
We're more about growing viewers, and then you can monetize them later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was going to be through taking percentages of people's like brand deals that we bring them, so we could go and get a deal from Monster or Coke and say, hey, we're going to play this game, and they're going to be talking about this, and we're going to make this YouTube video with Monster or whatever the brand is. And we got the Mercedes deal. So you saw we got the car.
Yeah.
That was a branded deal, and I think we got like 1 or 2 others, but it wasn't big enough money. There wasn't enough even just to keep the lights on in the house. Like it was just all coming out of our bank account. And that's sort of where it ended up. And as I said, there's a lot of failures to be learnt, and that's it. We paid for those failures, and it's good. Like
good experience. Yeah.
Amazing experience. Yeah. Like it wasn't that much money that we lost. So if it sometimes costs money to learn to fail and learn no, big deal. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like we didn't lose our company on it.
No.
Investing is about that. It's about investing in a bunch of things, failing in a bunch of them, and then using that knowledge to invest better.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good.
So
I literally don't care at all. Like that's how much I'm totally fine with failing.
Yeah.
And publicly. Like it was the most public thing. The page is still there. I need to shut it down.
Yeah, it was really public, and also because there was so much hype, everyone wasn't just asking afterwards, like, what is Shay? They were like, oh, so what's happened to Shay?
What happened to Shay?
What is going on?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't want to go big, because you guys went really big, because
they're scared of failing.
Scared of failing.
Yeah.
So
what's
your opinion on everyone out there who's like kind of afraid of the whole failure thing? And
you already know my view
when
on this.
you smile, I know you're just about to just rip into
I don't want to rip into it.
No.
I don't because at once upon a time, like, life was very different, but I still back then didn't really give a shit about failure. When I took the whole Playside thing on in the beginning, it was just kind of like, all right, cool, we'll try this. And if it fails, we'll do something else, and we'll learn a lot from failing it. And as I've said, like we probably do maybe 20 games a year or 20 apps and 20 games, whatever. And 4 or 5 of them might fail completely. And we can be like, all right, cool, this is why. So let's never do something like that again, or let's maybe do this better. And yeah, that's life. Like, I don't know. Everyone's scared to fail publicly because of Instagram.
Yeah.
Fuck Instagram. Just do whatever you want. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, no one's going to be like, oh, they launched that jewelry company and it didn't do well. Who cares? Go and do something else. Now you've learnt why the jewelry company didn't do well. Go and make shoes. Like you can't think like that. You can't think what's everyone else going to think. And a lot of people think like what you do, for instance, people are scared to do it because they're scared of what their friends will think. When you're not giving a shit about your friends, you think about the 100,000 that can come after that. Those 100,000 will never think what your friends think because they don't know you like that.
That's right. Yeah.
So the people that know Gary Vee in the beginning, you think they were like, man, fuck Gary, man. I'm sick of hearing your shit.
Yeah.
Of course they were.
Yeah.
But who cares?
Yeah.
Now he's got how many million followers? So I think you can't fear what other people have to think. And if you don't fear what other people think, then why are you scared of failing? It's the only reason you're scared. You can't be scared because of yourself.
Yeah, it's hard,
If you literally were the only person on earth and you failed.
Yeah. Sometimes I remember when I just started posting on Instagram, because the thing is, for me, in my industry, posting on Instagram is incredibly, there's so much ROI on it. It's insane. Like,
it's the best
especially when you're when you got a marketing agency, when you're building website, stuff like everyone needs that stuff. Anyone with a business, there's so much return.
100%.
So right now, I don't even think about who's watching and what people think, because I'm like, I know this is just, it's helping me grow my business and I'm also helping people. But man, at the beginning, I wouldn't post a story because I know there's like these 2 people on my Instagram who would judge the fuck out of me, talk about me behind my back, and it's hard.
And
man.
you'd go to your story and it'd say 2 people have shared it, and you're just like, those motherfuckers.
Yeah, like what are they saying?
I knew why'd they send that shit?
Oh man, and you know what? Like, not a lot of people would know this, but especially at the beginning, I was so cringy apparently, and I was told that. Like I've always said that when I go on live, I used to talk to myself. Like I talk to myself, bro. Like it was so embarrassing, but I didn't care because I was only doing it for a different reason. And I've been told, like, man, like we all make fun of your lives. Like, you're so fucking cringy, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and that would actually happen. These are real conversations that happen. It's not something I'm making up. They're real conversations that you have to go through. Yeah. And then you realize after you go through it, you're like, I'm fine. Like, it didn't even suck that much.
Why? Yeah. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
like, Okay, good luck to you, dude. Like,
Yeah.
fucking go do your own shit. Like,
Yeah.
I just think people care, and it's hard to talk about, man, because a lot of people have a lot of mental health issues around this fact. That is, as I said, back in the day, getting bullied was getting bashed, and there was no Instagram, there was no social media. MySpace, I didn't think you could fucking DM each other on MySpace. It was like MSN or some shit.
Yeah,
but there were no bullying on that. It was all direct
if
to
we were
direct.
on MySpace, you would be in my top friends.
100%. Top 7, baby.
Oh my god,
That was the best.
MySpace day. Did you ever play Mobster?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, man,
that was
how cool was that?
That was so good.
Oh man,
That was like the only game back then that you could play to
I'm
that
having
shit.
such a flashback
I
right now.
know.
But going to the bounty hunt,
Drug wars and shit.
Oh
There was so much
man, I love that.
So-
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, back then
Yeah.
it wasn't socially in a group way. You could talk to one person online and that was it. Now it's like the shit that you just spoke about could really affect somebody. Like somebody who hasn't made it yet and you're sitting there telling them like, oh, you look like a dickhead on Instagram doing that shit. Like, why would you say that? Like, what benefits come from talking like that? And the problem is that's how too many people are now. And there's nothing to say that mental type of bullying is not worse than the public shit, like worse than the physical stuff, because it probably is. The physical shit, all right, cool, man. Like you hurt me and then I've got to go home and be upset about it, whatever, and fear coming back to school the next day. But the mental shit, that happens when you go back from school and you're at home and suddenly these kids are getting bullied on Instagram and shit. And it's just like, that really pisses me off. And I don't know, I want to do some form of thing in that space. I really want to get, be the person that looks after these kids that are getting bullied and shit because I was there, but I'm not ready for that yet. I will be one day. And if there is anyone listening that is getting bullied, then definitely reach out to me because we can talk about shit. But I just think that people are just cowards, man. Like they're going to hide behind their little Instagram screens talking shit. Like, you might have bullied me back then, man, but let's fucking try it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I want to be the guy that helps all these bullies out. So let's see who's talking to you.
Yeah.
Like it's different now. And that's how it becomes. One day when you're making millions of dollars a year, it's going to be very different then.
Yeah.
And you're not going to give a shit what they thought. Anything, you'll be like, keep watching now.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, I would love a high school reunion. Like, let's do that shit.
Yeah.
Like now it's like I can rock up and be like, oh, how'd you all do? Oh, really? Very surprising you all turned out like that. Not so much about what I've done. Don't worry about what I've done. The fact that you all did that, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Maybe because you're all assholes and that's how you treat people.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the group of people that might talk about
anyone who's going through that shit and is getting bullied and doubted and fucking made fun of, just take it from someone like Gerry who has went through that. Just understand, like I haven't made it, but I've went through the phases like that. They are like, just understand that they're going to end. There's no chance they could be that negative and spiteful and make it and be happy.
No way.
And literally go to sleep happy.
Yeah.
You can't. They can't just be this spiteful and go to sleep happy. Just know they're going through some shit. They're going to continue to go through some shit.
Yeah.
And if anything's going to happen in the future, it's not that they're going to be more successful than you. They're probably going to realize what they did was fucked up and 100%. Come back to you and apologize.
100%, bro. Do you know how many people have DM'd me? I did a podcast last time and I was talking about some similar shit, not about bullying, but when I started Playside, all these people were like, you're not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
You're not going to do this, whatever. I had people on LinkedIn text me like, dude, I was the guy that said that. And I'm really sorry I didn't know you were going to be able to do what you've done and this and that. Didn't even write back. Fuck you, man. I don't care now. You want me to say, oh, it's okay, man. Like, fucking good luck to you. Like, the fuck do you want from me now?
Yeah.
And that's what I want all of them to think. Whether it's the bullies that are bullying these kids now, that one day these kids are going to live their lives and be happy.
Yeah.
Like, let them do whatever they want, man. But like at the end of the day, as you said, not one person at my company is bullying anyone or has that sort of aggressiveness. No one's there doing that shit. So it means every other company is the same, which means that none of these bullies are getting jobs. None of them are going to talk badly about anybody in the future when there's no workplace for them. So go and do whatever you do. You will still be more successful than them. So let them talk shit, man. Like you got to get past it. As luckily now it is on Instagram and you can block people and you can do shit like that. But when it gets physical, like that's a bit different.
Yeah.
You can't really block that back then. I don't think it happens as much now, but it probably does. I don't know. But
I think now is not as much. It still exists sometimes, but definitely not as much. I think a lot of it is exactly what you said. It's just all mental, and
it's bad.
There are so many. There is so much talent out there. People ready to post and put their stuff online. Like when I tell people, and I'm like encouraging them, hey, post, man. Like post about your business. Like you'll get some work. Like it'll help you make more money. And they're just like, they have this look in their face, and I know exactly what they're thinking. And they're thinking about that someone that's close to them or a friend or someone they don't that's going to like talk shit about them. And you just got to block that out.
I know that now at this point I can start doing similar things to what you do, and I won't think about what people are going to think about because I've I've done what I've done. So if I talk about it, people are actually happy to hear about it.
Yeah.
And there might be some people that want to talk shit, but the majority at this point, it's much easier for me to do it than it would be for you guys or for anyone that's younger.
100%.
But it's much more important that you guys do it than me. I don't need to do it now. It might help me somewhat,
I guess
but you guys need to do it to grow. That's where everyone's eyes are now. So as you said, your ROI on that shit, that's free. Like, do it.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I have to get the specific type of client that's going to see it. LinkedIn probably makes way more sense for me, but it's just I'd rather maybe TJ did the LinkedIn stuff.
The only time it would make sense for you to do it is if you something just clicked where you're like, you know what, I want to impact the world. Because
as I said,
I could jump on and say this is what it's going to take to be successful, and everyone's still going to look and be like, look, you're doing okay, but and I understand that. I understand, because sometimes it's not about what's said, it's about who it came from. That's more impactful. So that's why I've always kind of, even in our live, I was like, bro, please post, because when you post something, it's so much more impactful because you've got the success to back you. No one's going to be like, well, I kind of disagree with your thoughts. It's like, yeah, but my thoughts made me who I am, and you're still, you know what I mean? So, but they can.
The Q&As did really well. I had like 4,000 story views on each one. Yeah. So they did well.
Yeah.
And I could do them all the time, but then they'll lose value. And I stopped following Gary Vee because I felt like he's losing value now. I've heard everything. You can't recycle it. How many times?
He's got the same message. Yeah.
And it's just, and I fear that I say go down that path and I start doing all that stuff, and then it loses value and I'm just repeating the same shit all the time. And to me, that's not something that I want to do. I'm sure it makes sense because there's new users coming on and they're hearing it for the first time anyway, whatever. Yeah. But I'm over Gary now. Like, show me what you do every day, like, instead. And I know that it works for him, so whatever. But I need to find my own spin on it. Otherwise,
man, just document your journey from taking Playside to where you are to. Man, it'd be so cool to see a vlog.
That's
of you.
done now, though.
Huh?
That's done now, though. Like,
no, not yet. Like, you're still dealing with, like, you're still like Gary didn't do his vlog. He started his vlog when his business was at like 100 million in revenue. Yeah. So like, what he showed people was like, look, I'm here at this stage, and look what I have to go through. I'm constantly dealing with issues. I'm traveling around. Man, do you know how awesome it would be, even for me, like, to watch you do a vlog and just like, I just got to Playside. This is what we did today. This is what we're working on.
It's hard because I don't even know how Gary does it, but he bleeps out names.
He bleeps
and shit.
out. Yeah, you can.
I could do the same shit. It's just hard when everything we do is so visual. I know his is very visual as well with branding stuff. But
true.
And look, there's no excuses. I could do it if I wanted to do it. I just don't know how entertaining my actual life really is. I know that you think it will be. I don't know if it will be. It's just not that fucking entertaining.
What? You know what matters? What I think, because I'm going to watch you. If you don't think your life
You'll watch episode 1. What happened to episode 2?
I'll watch every single one. I promise you.
As long as I get one view of video,
I will watch every single episode.
I have thought about, like, look, if I get, say, 2 guys to follow around, one does camera stuff, the other one edits, shit like that, I could probably do it because I'm not going to be able to do it myself.
That's what I mean.
I just don't know what. I don't know. We just have to try it out. So we'll see.
You do, I know.
Yeah.
People are going to kill me if I had someone who owns the largest apps and games development company, and I don't talk about the process of apps and like how kind of that goes in. So can we just talk about that a little bit? Because I'm curious. A lot of people are curious. Like,
too many people are curious.
Yeah, too many people are curious. Everyone has an idea.
Everyone's got an idea.
Yeah, everyone's got an idea. So, tell me about like what you guys, what the process usually is, either when you're doing work for hire for like a big company. And you know what I actually want you to talk about, which would be really cool for me, like when you're working with like Nickelodeon, what are those meetings like as compared to when you're meeting with, like more of like with your friends, like working on an app, like, when you're talking about like, say, Keep It Cleaner and you know them and you guys are good friends and everything, as opposed to like meeting with like an exec from Nickelodeon. Like what's that like?
Look, these days I actually don't get too involved like on a personal level, like doing the work for hire stuff in terms of like the game stuff.
Yeah.
Because Danny and TJ are so good at it. It doesn't really require another person in that meeting. I do a lot of the app stuff these days, like the face-to-face meetings. Back in the day though, the game stuff, it's very different. You're talking to like American execs, you're just some developer. You've got to pitch to them why you're the best one to do it. Full pitch process, like you know how it is, but like hardcore in that industry. You got to spend thousands of dollars creating pitch documents, coming up with a game idea, whatever. Give it to them. 20 other studios give it to them. They pick one, and that's how that works. But once you're through that development phase, what usually happens is together we will come up with like creative concepts and like the big thing with a lot of these Hollywood style companies are branding. Branding has to be perfect. Like when you make the 3D character, has to look like the 2D version of SpongeBob. Like we were actually one of the first games to do a proper 3D SpongeBob on mobile. I think the first. And it was just so hard getting that right because they're like, no, that circle has to be here. Like they're that full on.
that.
With cars, we had to have the bolts on one of the cars had to be the exact place where the bolts were in the wheel. Like if we had 4 bolts, it had to be 3 for one of them. Like it's pretty crazy. Like, but that's how they're the biggest brands in the world.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from Disney and Pixar when we did Cars because we did that one together. That wasn't work for hire. We paid for it, and it was like a
Can't
split.
believe you've done work for that.
That was probably
crazy,
the biggest
man.
shit. When we signed
Wow.
Disney and Pixar, I was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is like big boy shit
That's
now.
cool, right?
And the game was amazing.
Yeah.
It's just, they're amazing to work with. Disney is so like just brand heavy and really smart. They've got really good people working there. Same with Pixar. So yeah, I don't know. Me and TJ are very good at becoming friends with the people that we work with. So if it's Disney, like Disney, the boys used to come down from America for like trips every now and then, every couple of months, and we'd go out to dinners and we love it. And then when they're going back, at least we can talk like mates to them. It's nothing worse than when you like have to work with somebody that's just like not someone you want to work with and they're talking down on you almost, and there's no friendship there. You definitely want to build that up as much as you can throughout the initial process and then lean on that friendship throughout the, development and sort of say like, look, I know you want it like this, but why don't we do it like this? And it's hard when you don't have that level of sort of friendship with the other person. With all the apps, like I'm mates with all of them. And like I knew Laura Henshaw before we did Keep It Cleaner. She was friends with my wife's sister. So I'd met her a few times. But after that, like we're best mates now, like Laura, Steph, their boyfriends, obviously Mitch, Chloe, all of them. And I just, I don't think I'd ever start an app with somebody now that I don't want to actually, that I don't like or that I don't want to work with because it becomes that. Like every app we've got text message groups, like iMessage, not Slack, not email. Like you want to tell me anything at any point of the day, you just text message me. And that's obviously because we're all mates as well, but that's the level that we're talking every day. If I'm gonna have to talk to you every day and you're some influencer that's doing my head in, there's no chance that relationship's going to start in the right way. So I pick who I want to work with, and usually because we work so well together, we end up becoming mates. So yeah, but the whole development side of it, man, yeah. So creative concept. Sorry, I don't even know where we just went. Creative concept. What's it going to look like? While that's happening, the coders are starting to code like the architecture and the basic sort of system of the app. For games, we use a program called Unity or Unreal. They're 2 engines. If you want to ever make games, Unity is the best engine to sort of get into the industry. And with apps, it's mainly just code. It can be in anything, but there's a thing we use called React Native. So the coders start setting everything up. At the same time, the artists start planning what it's going to look like. The next month would then be, okay, cool. Let's start putting some of that into the game. A lot of the game stuff in the beginning is white box stuff. So what that means is, because we've already designed Batman in the beginning, let's put Batman in, and he looks like that. But the level's just white boxes everywhere, and like towers and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, yeah.
That's how games look in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you want to keep it at that level for sort of as long as you possibly can, because that's where you really learn like how the game should play. When you start adding art and everything to it, it becomes really hard to change that. Like for instance, if you say, a door looks a certain way, and you've designed that door and you've creatively made it art, and then someone says, actually, it has to be taller. Well, now you've got to go and redesign the whole door. So as long as you just do that all in the white box stage, then when someone comes to make it, they can make it the exact height.
Yeah,
so you don't have to ever redo it. The apps are easier. While the coders are doing that stuff, the artists are coming up with what it's going to look like, and then they literally just make it look like that. Like Bloom was a bit harder because Bloom was all 3D and it looks amazing. So that took a bit longer to get that stuff in there. But like Keep It Cleaner, we knew what we wanted when we did it. Bub, we knew what we wanted when we did it. Current ones we're doing, it's just like, this is what it's going to look like, and it just looks like that. And then it's just all about how it feels. Our UI guys are so good now that they're thinking about how it feels when they're designing it. So it's pretty easy transition. So that's pretty much the app's done. Like it's pretty easy at that point. The games, you're going through like creative process the whole time with the publisher. So they'll ask, hey, we just want to see this jungle level, 1 character, 2 enemies, do that. And you'll do that, and they'll be like, yeah, cool, but it needs to be more like this. So you keep looping that process. Then when that's done, cool, now we want to see 2 environments. We want to see 20 enemies. We want to see this and that. We want better graphics in there, and you keep doing that up until the point that it's ready. And all of that is decided before you start. Like it's just, this is what's going to happen for the next 6 months, and you just keep looping those things until it's all done. And look, sometimes you might go a couple of weeks over, whatever it is. It's pretty easy. But yeah, apps are definitely a bit simpler.
And then you were saying, just before I ask you that, hold on, I need to go get my phone.
Okay.
No, nothing to do with my phone. This is for me to keep track of time.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck's he going there?
Because my laptop turned off.
Oh my God.
15 minutes in because it's just been sitting there. So I got no idea how long we've been into this. 2:50. So we've been in for like an hour and a half.
Easy
huh?
money.
Yeah, easy money.
Yeah.
And we haven't even got to the rap yet. No. We'll talk to you guys about that soon. Okay, yeah. So then how do they mainly make their money? Is it through ads and stuff? Like
games is usually through, there's only two real ways, in-app purchases or ads. A lot of the bigger games, there's not many ads. It's more in-app purchases. A lot of our own games, we do a genre that's called like hyper casual, which if you look at the top 10 right now or the top 50, they're all hyper casual games. And basically it's a game that super fun to play and super addictive, but it's just ads like every time you're dying. Those ads are like, not even a cent each, but you got millions of players playing it every day. You're making a lot of money off them. That's something that we're very good at doing, and a lot of companies use us to make those games.
Yep.
And then we're also very good at doing the heavily freemium style in-app purchase games, which is like, the proper games where, Clash of Clans, The Sims, stuff like that. So there's two different ways of doing it. And then on the app side of it, realistically, to make money in apps, you need to have subscription. And there are some apps that you can do that have in-app purchases, but subscription's where it's at. It's just reoccurring. You can build it every month, and you're making more and more money. So yeah, it's.
And most of the apps you guys are doing, you've got like a piece of that pie as well,
Yep.
right? Okay,
Yep. Everyone.
all right, and so does Apple.
have to.
Because Apple takes
Apple get a free piece. That's the best part. It's they get their 30%, which is it's good. They provide the app store. Without the app store, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
But they get that 30% without having to take all the meetings. You know what I mean? Like so.
30% seems like a fair amount. Like
it's a decent amount, but as long as you're as long as you're calculating it all and doing everything beforehand, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And look, they don't own 30% of the business; they own 30% of the app. So if you ever sell the business, still get that. But Apple do what they do with subscribers. It's 30% for the first year that they've subscribed, and 15% for the year after. So there's a bit of leeway there. But look, they're pretty good to work with. They're amazing, and we show them our apps as they're going, and they're very like hush hush. They won't sort of ever tell us like this is fantastic or anything. They'll be like that's looking really good, and thank you. And there's no paying for features. There's no, hey, Apple, can you feature this game, please? They'll literally be like, what are you talking about? They will feature you if they think that your product is the best in its category in that country on that week. And it's that simple.
Okay.
And all of our products have been featured. So it's a big thing. Like being featured is, it's I don't want to say it's free downloads because you've done a lot of work to get that. But it's the only way to really get downloads now, for free.
For free, yeah. I think looking at you, and I've kind of been modeling in terms of the mindset of how I want to grow my company. Because like you have always said things like, we only work with apps that we know are going to work.
Yep.
We only focus on making our clients money. And it's like all about results.
Yeah.
Right. Where every other app company and the ones that just went down, it's just like, let's just come.
Yeah.
Let's
Fish
just
and
build.
chip shop up, cool, 50K.
Yeah.
Like it's just like
it's like whoever. Yeah. For us, I've had the focus, and I've been modeling that. I'm like, okay, so how can I actually grow my marketing agency to a multi-million-dollar level?
Yep.
Honestly, like it's just really simple. I just have to make everyone a shit ton of money.
Yep.
Like I just have to make sure that my focus is to actually fucking do marketing that works and not fluff and bullshit and stuff like that, right?
It should be easier for you to grow because in the games industry, for instance, a lot of the guys at the top of the games companies aren't going to tell the other games companies, hey, Gerry's app was really good, you should use him. Whereas with you, everyone's got businesses and they're all different. So the guy that you might have done for a building SEO thing or, Google ads or whatever, he'll tell his mate who owns a restaurant, hey, use Leo.
Yeah, yeah.
That doesn't really happen in the games industry. It happens in the app industry, but the games industry is just like everyone's like fighting for the same piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So
if you were in my shoes running my company, not Playside, what would you focus on?
The exact thing that you're focusing on, and it would all be about quality. Because it's all good for the thing to make money, but they're going to still go and look at it. And they might have heard that it's made $100 million an app, right? But if they go and look at it and it's like, it's a piece of shit, man. Maybe they just got lucky with customers or whatever. You want all the websites you guys are designing to be the best of the best. You want to be obviously delivering results on the ad side of things as well, but You know, if you guys are doing creatives for ads, you want those creatives to be the best. I know the best creatives aren't always the most performing, but you know what I'm saying. It's just, for us, it's always about the most quality products. And if there's a company that wants to work with us that want to pay us a lot of money, but the quality isn't going to be there, then we just can't do it, because people will still look at that and be like, what is that? Why did they make that? Yeah. So yeah, it's very important.
Okay.
Quality over everything.
All right, now I'm going to turn a bit Joe Rogan on you, start talking about some crazy future shit.
Oh, shit.
Because yeah, you're in this industry. You were talking to me about Google glasses and Apple glasses like 3 years ago when I came into your office. So where are we with the whole AR thing? Mm-hmm. Because when I put on AR, I put on a friend's AR, I spent like $1,000 on it or something like that.
Is it AR or VR?
Sorry, VR. I'm so sorry, VR, right? Okay. And I look at it and I'm like playing the RoboCop or whatever.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
I'm like, at some points, I lose myself.
Yeah.
It taps into this part of my mind which doesn't know the difference. And when we're getting scared, it doesn't know the difference between if this is real or not, right? And I sit there and I could still tell it's not completely HD. And
the devices aren't there, yeah?
Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, when this shit gets to the point where it's like so HD that you just cannot tell, it's going to be fucked up. And before I ask the question, I'll get you to talk about it. I remember in the VR, you know that place where you go into like your house and it's on the hill?
Yeah.
And then you kind of walk outside.
And I know what you're talking about,
And you look. When I did that, there was a moment where it kind of made me emotional because I'm like, I feel like I'm here.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Is fucked. I feel like I'm here. Like I feel the same feelings of joy and happiness. Holy shit, this looks awesome. Than if I was actually there. Yeah. So can you talk to me about where this VR thing is going?
Yeah.
What can we anticipate? What do you think? What are you predicting for the future?
Yeah.
And why is it important for us to know what's to come?
So there's two technologies at the moment. One's VR and one's AR.
Yeah.
So VR is virtual reality. That is covering yourself fully in the mask and you can't see the outside world. That's virtual reality, right? And it's all 3D in there and it is what it is. AR is augmented reality, and that is glasses, like normal glasses, that you can see through and you can see the real world and you can see other things in the real world. Apple also have AR Kit where you can point your mobile at something, like we've got AR Dragon and the dragon pops up on the table, but you can only see it through your phone, right? I think that the future is more leaning towards AR, because with AR, you can still cover the entire device, because if they just show you visuals over it all, it's the same thing. I think that where we will see it happen first will be more in like app type stuff. So say this, and I don't know anything about this, by the way. So I don't have any inside information about Apple. I don't know anything about that.
Right,
I'd be the last person they'd tell. Even though we've done really well in AR. But if Apple are working on anything, this is how it would make sense if I was running Apple, how I'd do it. Right now, they've got thousands of apps, hundreds of thousands of apps that have this AR Kit thing, right? So you can look through the phone and you can see it. All they need to do is just flick a switch. You've got glasses now, see the exact same shit. So that'll be the first step. It'll be like the Apple Watch, the first one. It was good, but there was a lot of shit missing from it. They didn't have the SIM card. They didn't have like a lot of things that the new one has. So the first step will be, okay, you've now got these glasses that can do AR in the real world, and it can use all the apps that all the AR Kit stuff does on your phone. So with us, AR Dragon, you better look around. Little dragon will be running around on the ground and all that sort of stuff, right? That's how it'll start. The issues that need to sort of... There's a lot of issues with VR and AR that at the moment I don't know how to fix, and I don't know if anyone knows how to fix currently, but over time they'll be fixed. So one, VR, how do you move? Right now people use joysticks to move and it's disgusting, right? Yeah. Feels like crap. But people get sick.
If you get into like a dark room or something, put that thing on you.
How far are you going to go?
What do you mean?
Well, how far can you go in this room or in like a room even 4 times this size?
Or what if it's like a synced in thing where it's like you're walking?
Oh, like that track thing, yeah. But like the fact that anyone, look, maybe one day everyone's going to have one of those. That could
I
be
get
the
you.
way.
How far
that thing is like $6,000 as well, so that's never going to happen. But if they had a cheaper one, I don't know. I just can't imagine everyone putting a treadmill in their house and running on this thing.
You need like its own room.
It's that 360 thing that they've made. Yeah. So I don't think that's how it's going to happen. The whole that movie, what was it called? The VR movie.
I didn't even actually watch it. I saw the trailers on it.
It was shit.
Yeah.
Ready Player One.
Yeah.
That book was like a bit weird, but everyone that apparently that works at Oculus, which is the main VR company, they've all read the book. The movie didn't make any sense. Like they're running around in this world and they're running in the real world, but what, you're going to run into a wall or into a desk? It doesn't work. AR is much easier to think about how it's going to work. We can see this room how it is. I want to go back to my car now. It'll be like, bloop, here's where your car's located. Go to this door, go there. There's an arrow, go there. Message just popped up. Cool, that's happening while we're talking. People think that that's going to be worse, that it's going to be hard to have conversations.
Yeah.
But right, it's better because right now we're talking at dinner. I get a message. I've got to unzip my thing, pull my pocket out, swipe up, read the shit, right back. If I'm just talking to it because bloop, this person said something, cool, goes away. That simple. That's where it's all going to go. So the gaming side of it, VR's got a lot to worry about. But for apps, augmented reality is the way it's going to happen. And where they've got issues at the moment, the only tech hurdle is if I'm looking at AR right now, it knows there's a wall there, but it can't, like if I move my dragon from here and I move it over there, it's like projecting it through that wall. It doesn't know what's sort of behind there. So if you wanted to say, okay, say that door was open and your dragon walked through the door, right now you would see it keep walking up the street in this room. It would just be like moving around. Like it doesn't be hidden behind the wall. Knows there's a wall there, but it doesn't know how to go behind it.
They can have Pokemon.
Yes. So
that's so
right
sick.
now, if I was to move like this laptop and put it under here, you would still see it on top of here. It would be lower, but it would be on top of the desk still. So they need to figure out clipping, basically what it's called, where I can have a circle and I can put my hands in front of the circle and it knows that my hands are in front of the circle, not behind it. Right now, everything in AR is projected on top of the real world. So I can't touch through it or anything. They'll figure that out easily. Once they've figured that out, it's game time. And the whole industry, everything is changing like dramatically overnight. And that realistically, I reckon is only like 3 years away, max. I think I've said...
Who's fucked when that happens? Or is it good for everyone?
It's good. It's like the app world all over again, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Who's fucked is anyone that was never in the app world to begin with. So if like we're there now. So when that AR stuff happens, cool. Now our products are just going to be AR instead.
Yeah.
If you want to then start a new company and get into it, it's going to be a bit harder because there's now something that's existed before it. But here's the thing. Once that happens, that's it. There's no next technology. Like that's it. It's on our eyes. So there might be contact lenses and shit like that, but it's the same technology at that point. The phone it's going to die at some time. We don't need a screen. We don't need that because we're going to be able to see it in our eyes. So I think once that comes, if you're not jumping on that shit straight away to be like the product for it or trying to do whatever you can for it, that's it. It's basically like the internet at that point. Like it's not going, there's never going to be another internet. It's the internet now. So there'll be different things.
That's interesting.
Like websites, for instance, will be gone.
Yeah.
But the internet itself is an ecosystem. That's what AR will be. And it will just be ridiculous. Like you'll be able to walk down the street, look at someone, and if they've got public Facebook, Instagram profiles, you can just click on it and it will show it to you. If they've got private, it'll be closed and you can add them as a friend. Like this is the world we'll be living in a very short amount of time. And there's no doubt about it even remotely. It might take a bit longer than 3 years. I say 3 years because I said 5 years 2 years ago. Yeah. So I don't want to change that. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I do feel like it slips a little bit because I feel like someone should have announced something by now that he's getting closer. But Apple's doing the best work possible with this AR kit stuff that I just see it happening. And I also don't think there's much more we can do with phones. Like we just saw the new iPhone 11. Okay, it's got a better camera. And how much more can you do? It can get thinner. One day it'll run off a cloud, so you don't even need anything in the phone. It'll probably just be like a glass thing. And I don't think that they'll necessarily go away straight away. I think it'll be like some people will have both. But once this AR shit takes over, man, like why would you ever want a phone ever again? You just tell Siri what to do. So, hey, Siri, call Leo. And then you'll pop up on your FaceTime or some shit. There's just cool things that can happen. So
that could be our reality.
Right.
That will be our reality.
To be 100%.
That will be our reality.
Yeah. And then there's all the scary shit that happens after that with robots and AI and all that sort of stuff. But that is much further down the line. For now, everything can be good with AR. There's nothing scary at all about AR. And I see it as a necessity. It's going to help a lot of people with disabilities. Yeah. So much stuff that can come from it. So whereas robots, nothing good can come from that shit. And we're still going to do it, and they're still probably going to kill us all. But that's where we're going with that shit.
Yeah. At least you're going to be 6'5", right?
Oh yeah.
Are you 6'5"? 6'6".
Don't you get that shit wrong? Worked hard for this 6'6".
Yeah, sorry, bro.
No, yeah. I think the robot thing's scary, man. I don't think anyone actually understands.
Was this true though? What Facebook's artificial intelligence, the two robots started talking to each other in a different language?
Google, yeah, but they could have been. It's nothing. They weren't really talking, and I think people say they just sort of switched it off, and it was like, oh, we're scared of it. I don't think that's the case. But where we're going with AI, where we're going with robots, is a very, very dangerous place. Where we're building machinery, and in that machinery we're putting AI, right, which is artificial intelligence, and Right now, the way it works is we're telling the AI what to do and what to feel like and what to think and all that sort of shit, and we command it. At some point, we will create something like right now we've got for normal AI, which is machine learning, where the AI learns itself. So I give you a product and you start doing things inside that product, and the machine learns that that's how users actually want to use it, tells the machine that, and then it changes the product to suit you better.
Oh.
So the problem's going to be when we get to a point, and it's called singularity, which is say robots are around in 20 years, right? Like proper ones that can walk around, do all this sort of shit. 30 years from then, we will create singularity for them, which means that they can teach each other. And they say that in 10 seconds, they will be able to learn more than humanity's ever learned in our entire lifetime in 10 seconds, because they can think billions of times faster than we can. So then they start building better robots. They're doing it themselves at this point because they know everything we know, but now they can learn more. They can learn maths equations that we've never got any chance of doing. So now they're building better machines. The machines are building better machines. Now they've got weaponry. Like by the time that happens, like we've already got robots right now that, I think this was on Joe Rogan. There's a robot, for instance.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're turning into...
Yeah.
I'm going to be asking you if you've done DMT.
No, definitely not. It's important though, man, because it's going to happen. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, no, whatever, man, it's in movies. Like, we're literally portraying what the movies are doing. And we're building shit that we shouldn't be building. We should build robots because they will help a lot of people and they'll do a lot of good things. But then there's a limit, and there needs to be some form of security put in place or something by governments that stop where we can go with it. Right now, there's a robot where hundreds of tomatoes are coming down this belt, right? And this robot's just got these two arms, and it just looks at the tomatoes all day long and just hits out the ones that aren't ripe, right? It's all it does. And it hits them out at like millisecond speed, right? You put a sniper rifle on that robot, you tell it humans are now what you have to do, put it in the middle of a street and press a button, everyone dies instantly. Like it's image recognition. It's so fast what our phones can already do. You put our phone on the head of a robot and you tell it everyone has to die here, just bang, 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 bang. So when the wars become about that, when humanity becomes like that, it's going to be a very scary place. And I don't think governments know how powerful AI is. What enemies can do in video games is what the robots will be able to do if you just program it correctly. So scary shit. But for now, AI, nice, fun. Google Maps tells you what to do. Car where your car is. Don't worry about the robots for now.
Don't worry about
But that's why Musk and everyone's like, don't let this robot shit happen, man, because it's some real shit.
Wait, so there's beef between Musk and
Bezos.
And Musk and Bezos? Wait, Elon Musk and
they're all beefing.
and Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah, because one of them thinks that the AI shit, I think
it's bad. No, I think Zuckerberg thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, Zuck thinks it's good, but still needs to have limits. And Musk is just like, do not do this shit. Like Musk I think they have their own AI, but it's very different the way it works. And he's like, we need to police it in a really good way. And I just think that there's going to have to end up being a council of pretty much all of them, Bezos, all of them, and just going, this is the standard that we all live by, and we can't move outside it. I'm pretty sure that's how it was in Terminator as well. Yeah. And then one guy's just like, nah, screw that shit. I'm pretty sure that's how it always happens, right? So I don't know how you keep a lid on that shit, man. Once you got these things doing groceries and shit for you, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So
Did you see the conversation between Musk and
yeah, that was terrible. Ma, or whatever his name is.
Jack Ma.
Yeah, that was shit. That guy's not that switched on, is he?
I hope I never got the opportunity to interview him.
He's quit. He's done.
Yeah, I know he's done, but watching that, I was like, what the he became so normal to me.
Yeah.
Watching Elon toss
he became worse than normal.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, like his answers to some of these questions, I was like,
did he just get lucky? Was he in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, it made me question. It's the first time I ever questioned. I don't doubt he's like tenacious and hardworking and everything,
100%.
but looking at Elon Musk was like...
Musk is a genius, but he can't talk very well.
Yeah,
so you had two very different people.
Yeah.
Someone that wasn't a genius that can talk his way out of anything, and you got Musk, who's actually a genius, and he's sitting there going, the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
Like I think they spoke about robots in that.
Yeah,
and
they
Musk
did.
is like, what are you on about,
because
dude?
Jack Ma said something along the lines of like, no, I don't think we'll ever... We never
can't have them, yeah.
No, he said, we can't... Listen to this. We can't create computers or robots that are smarter than us because
we're not smart enough to do. Like they can't be smarter than us because we're the ones making them smart.
It's like,
and that's the thing. Singularity changes that straight away.
Yeah,
and that's what Musk is thinking in his head. Just like what, like he could easily have that convo and be like, all right, let me talk to you about singularity. Let me talk to you about how AI machine learning works. But what for, dude? The guy's, I don't know. That was really weird. I actually, same as you. Before that talk, I thought he was a genius. This guy. After that, I was like, nah.
Yeah, changed my perspective. It changed how on earth does it change my perspective like that? I was like, wow, like seriously, wow. So, to kind of bring this podcast to a close, I want to talk to you about something that not a lot of people would know about you.
Apparently, everyone knows.
Yeah, I know. So you jumped on my live, and everyone was like, "Jerry, drop a freestyle," right? So can you talk to me about this whole rapping thing?
Yeah. So we both promised that there's not going to be any rapping today, so that's not going to happen.
You said you didn't want to. I did. I told you it's the No Limits podcast. In fact, DJ Wonder dropped the beat. It's 5 Fingers of Death.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I haven't rapped for a long time.
Yeah.
Like the last time I recorded a song was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I've always done it, like since I was in year 9 or year 10 or whenever it was. Might have even been earlier. And I'm pretty good at it. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk shit.
I've seen you rap, and it's fucking cool.
I'm not bad.
And you know the coolest part is when you talk your shit while you're rapping,
it's
you
real.
can back it up, and it's all real. Yeah.
So as I said to you, I'm not going to do it here. I love doing it.
Yeah.
But I did tell you this, so we can tell them that if this video reaches 10,000 views, I'll drop a track. And it'll have a video attached to it, and it'll be a brand new track that I'll make just for the fact it's hit 10,000 views. I'll talk about that in it, so that way we know that it's what happened. Yeah. You can release it on your channel, and we're done.
All right. You shake on it, huh? If this podcast
but that's the last one. That's the last song.
This is the first and last song,
that's it.
10,000 views, you're going to have Gerry Sakkas drop that. drop a music.
100%.
Man,
the thing is, like, what
do you think of like
I almost got signed to Sony BMG when I was 18.
Wow.
So I was pretty good, and I still am decent, but I'm a CEO, man. I'm going to do sit there rapping.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, don't you think about that? Like, I'm a CEO and I'm going to drop a song. Like, I'm into rapping. Is that why you've never really put out something before? The problem is you
never know where Playside is going to go.
Yeah.
You know, so right now, like, it's not a super corporate company, so it could make perfect sense right now. If in 10 years we're somehow a super corporate company, we're working with the likes of IBM and all this sort of shit instead of doing games, and I'm just Google my name and this fucking rap comes up, that's not going to be the best thing.
Let me talk some shit to all these entrepreneurs. Motherfuckers. You start ripping everyone.
You can't do it. So I've got to be careful about what I would put out if I was to put something out. That's why if I was to do this challenge, I'd make a brand new song and actually write it, what I would be thinking about in terms of if anyone ever saw this in the future. But it's impossible, man. You can't have a rap career and be a CEO well.
You have to promise me something.
Tour and shit.
In your song, you have to put the No Limits podcast somewhere in there. Yeah. Like I was, it has to be rhyme or something.
I'm telling you, it's a brand new song.
Okay.
All the boys, because I record shit every now and then, send it to the boys for fun.
Yeah.
They know what I've recorded so far, so this will be brand new.
Okay.
But I don't understand how it's gone from maybe 4 or 5 people that know that I can rap to somehow your mates knowing I can rap.
Yeah, I know.
It's weird. Because the people that were asking that were not my mates.
I thought they were your friends.
Yeah,
I'm
like, random.
Yeah. And every time you jump into my live, it's become this thing where it's like, a big Jerry in the house. His name's Fito Aratia or something.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
No. That's crazy. He was your mate.
I don't know him personally. He just follows me. But every time you jump on, he's like, big Jerry in the house, like in capital letters.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. That's like, I'm so excited for that. So, man, this video is going to get 10,000 views. We're going to get a music video from you.
Let's see what happens.
And who are you going to diss? Maybe just give Jack Ma a little diss. And talk about AR. Like we'll throw ideas.
No, it'll be good. I'll make something good.
I'm keen.
That'll be worth listening to. I'm not just going to do rubbish. But
I'm excited. All right. Well, we've been sitting here for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to you for jumping on. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And make sure you go and follow Gerry. His Instagram handle is Gerry Sakkas. Go check out Playside Studios, their website. Check out some of their apps, the Keep It Cleaner app, Bloom app. You want to shout out some more apps that you guys have done? That's all good. Go check all of them out so you can see the level of quality that they do is just absolutely insane.
And if you're here from my page, make sure you do the exact same to Leo because his content is amazing.
Thanks,
and I'm sure you'll all learn a lot from it. Learn more than you'll learn from me because I'm not giving you any content. So.
but you will maybe change.
We'll see what happens.
All right, that's a wrap. Take care, guys. Bye.
Peace.